Is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT show. Today we have an exciting show for you guys. We're going to be going back into the Jack and Lilly Sullivan disappearance. We're going to break down a statement that was made by the little boy and the little girl's mom, who has been relatively quiet since the disappearance. You know, a lot of people have asked her to speak up and say something. Well, she's spoken up. She's reached out to a nonprofit. A nonprofit are helping her and her family try to locate the little Jack and little Lilly Sullivan. And, we're going to break it down. We're going to look into it. I think it's a good move. I think this might, the more that can come out and to try to help and locate these two little angels, the better, right? So I have nothing but respect for them, and we're going to break down who, what is it called? Please Bring Me Home, their nonprofit foundation that is assisting Malaya Brooks Murray in in finding her kids. Now, we're going to have a special guest on today. We have Dr. Vona that's going to be joining us. She's came on last time. We talked for the first time about the case. We're going to continue to talk about this case and the intricate aspects about it, because there's a lot that goes along. There's the aspect of what it is that they're saying, and then there's the evidence. And so we'll break down both sides of that and so much more. So without further ado, Dr. Jamie Vona, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. We won today. The Pittsburgh Steelers moved to 4-1, so it's a good day for me. How about yourself?
Well, I got my decorations done today, so I'm happy.
There you go. There you go. So for those that are still new, I know a lot of people have started following you because of this case, but for those that are still new to the case, a little bit of background about who you are and what you bring to the table.
Okay, so hi, everyone. Thank you for the mods and everybody for coming tonight. I'm Dr. Jamie Vona. I've been teaching psychology at the college and university level for over 20 years. I'm also a research psychologist. I did my dissertation in how social media messages affect the identity development of 18 to 24-year-old college students. Now I'm a content creator in addition to, I didn't drop anything, I just keep adding. And I don't know. What else do I have to say?
You're pretty awesome at what you do. And you got a pretty awesome shirt.
Oh, yeah. Look, the Minds Behind True Crime. I'm so excited.
There you go. So go check out her channel, guys. She's got some merch and things of that nature that you won't be disappointed in.
Thank you.
So last time we spoke, we were talking about Jack and Lilly. We're talking about Daniel Martell. He had quite a few things that had started to kind of fall apart for him in his world, so to speak. A girlfriend that he has met since the disappearance. I guess that relationship has gone south. She's started to come out, start saying some things about him, some things about her are starting to come out. We're going to look into all those things. But before that, the statement, we got to read that first. So there was a statement by Malaya Brooks Murray, the mother for Jack and Lilly. Before we get into it, what are your thoughts on maybe the timing of this or what do you think about, her? Well, there's some sort of movement, I think, to find answers.
To what?
To for instance, what do you think about the move in general for her to go out there, seek the assistance of a nonprofit?
Gotcha. Now I understand.
Please Bring Me Home. Yeah. What do you think about the entire thing?
All right. Well, I think that's a good thing, right? You want to get more people involved if you can. I think people have been wanting to hear her talk for so long that I feel like for a lot of people, it feels like it's never too late, but they've been waiting for this. So I think that a lot of people wanted to hear from her. And now that they did, a lot of people are not, some people are okay with the response, but I hear a lot of people thinking that it sounds like it wasn't as genuine as it could be, but I don't know. I didn't really take it that way, but that's what I'm getting a lot of feedback for. Did you take it that way? I don't know if I think, all right. So what did you think? Did you think?
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, you haven't read it?
Yeah, no, I have not.
Well,
I was waiting. Together. Yeah, I was waiting for a response for this. To me, when it comes to a lot of folks, there's a saying, to a hammer, everything's a nail, right? And so regardless of whatever she was going to say, people were going to blast it out of the sky. They were going to look at it analytically. They were going to try to look at it from a conspiracy standpoint, try to analyze every aspect of what she says, just like they do with with Daniel on every movement, every time he scratches his nose or looks at the sky. It's something that is looked at under a microscope. And so I'm not surprised that there's a lot of people that are clamoring up to this as something ingenuous, because in my opinion, everything that they've said so far when it comes to the parents, it doesn't matter what they do. It's ingenuous. It's whether they cooperated with law enforcement, whether they handed over their phone, whether they took a lie detector test, it's not been enough. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean. One thing that I will say that you said that I'm like, oh, this is the thing, you guys. So I'm going to do my best today not to look at chat. I might even blow the screen up like to make it big so that I can't see chat. And let me tell people why. I think as somebody who's extremely empathetic in a psychology field, I don't want to get a biased thought process by having either him, his mom, her, or even other like people in the chat sway my decisions in any way. So you guys, if I don't speak or answer back, usually I'm really good with doing both. That's why, because I don't want anybody to come in and try to sway my decision, because I really do have certain things that like popped out to me and I don't want it to be swayed in any way. Hey, I just want to make sure I said that.
For sure. I want your honest, authentic opinion.
So it's big screen. I can't see the chat. It's official. I mean, I could see it on the side, but I'll try not to read it. I won't read it.
So this is the nonprofit. This is
I love that.
Bring Us Home. And they are, it says here, please bring me home. Mission is to reunite missing persons with their families. No stone is too small to be overturned. Team conducts interviews, undertakes background searches, research, and mobilize trained people for grid searching and pursue a positive end to each case. Now, I was reached out by Christine Ingrid. She posted a video with somebody, not Malaya, reading Malaya's statement, and a lot of people thought that there was a lack of emotion. Well, it wasn't Malaya who was reading it. It was just somebody else reading it. And to be honest with you, the person that just read it like it was, the Sunday paper. There was no emotion to it. So I understand why people were looking at that, but that wasn't coming from her. The words were hers, but the emotion or the lack thereof weren't. And so we got to take that into consideration. They're going to try to build a grid search and do some other searching around the area. And when she reached out to me, I told her I thought it was a great idea. I just wanted to make sure that they had a organization that was authorized to go out there and, a real ground search rescue team, not just like a group of people that watch on YouTube to go out there who have never been experienced in something. It appears that they have this team that does this. They're going to go do their searches. I hope that they go and get permission from, the homeowners and stuff like that. Now, my recommendation to Janie and to Daniel, I haven't spoken to them about this, but I wouldn't allow, this to go on their property. And the main reason being is because they're siding with, as weird as you want to say it, I think they're siding with Jack and Lily and they're trying to find them. But this is coming about through Malaya's side. There is a custody issue between Malaya and Daniel. And, I don't want there to be another argument, fight, or any of those things. And also, Daniel's property is like 2 acres. I think that the RCMP was well capable with their dogs and the multiple searches of that 2 acres of trying to figure out if there was something on that property itself. What do you think about them getting on Daniel's property? Do you think that would be maybe not the best thing, or how would you feel about it?
I don't think it's the best thing to go on anyone's property without asking them first. So I definitely think I assume that you would ask first. So that's good that you brought that up, because if they didn't think of that, they probably should. I think about being in America, right? That could get them in real trouble if they went on someone's property here. Like, I don't know how it is in Canada, but here that would not be a good thing. So I would hope that they would get permission. Next, I want to see how he responds to this. I'm interested to see how he responds to this. I think that he likes to control the situation. So I wonder if he's going to jump on this so that he can help control the way it goes.
It could be. I mean, the other thing too is, you don't know who's part of the search group. And unfortunately, there are some radical folks who will do one thing or another. And, not saying that would be the case, but somebody can get on a search team and plant something or not plant something or move something around or start some drama or try to try to say something to Daniel or to Malay, to Janie, and a disturbance incurs, or worst case, somebody falls down and hurts themselves seriously. You don't.
Mhm.
If I was Daniel and Janie, I
Oh
wouldn't want
yeah,
that
no, I would not want that. No, I didn't even think about that. Absolutely not. I would not want that live. You're absolutely, unless you have a warrant, please don't. I hear you.
Right, exactly. And so far, I mean, they didn't, they showed up at Daniel's house with the cadaver dogs on 3 different occasions without telling him they were going or going back. And he had no problem with them searching his property.
Yes, he did. He was not happy. The last interview I saw, he wasn't happy at all that they were there without him knowing. You could tell by the way he says it. If you go back and look at the interview, and he starts to say things in a negative way about them. Again, if you go back, it's the one where it's right after the dogs come the very last time. And
right. Well, I mean, there was also a situation between him and one of those dog
that I didn't know. That's why I bring it up. So tell me what happened.
Well, so there was a guy that came in from out of, I'm assuming they have states in Canada. I'm not sure if they're called states. They might call regions or something like that. But he was from a different part of Canada, and he came in and I guess they got to a conversation, and that guy told him his opinion. Now, I said this: if I was that officer, I probably would have done the same thing myself. I would have tried to see if Daniel buckles a little bit under pressure or anything like that. Maybe throw out an accusation or two. And Daniel didn't like it, and so he got upset about it, and they had some words apparently, and nothing like crazy, not like they got into something bad, just kind of like, how could you do that? What blah blah blah. And supposedly one of the other RCMP officers, the lead investigator, had to come by and just kind of say, hey man, he's not from here. He doesn't know the case like we do. We know that you didn't do anything. That's what he said. So take that for what it is. That's his what he told me that was said. Now, they did recently say this, and I do want to get your opinion on this because RCMP recently said this. So I know we're going to look at a bunch of things here in a little bit. And when we do look at all these things, let me pull it up. Some of this stuff happened before this. So I'm fairly positive they're aware of a lot of the information that is in here. Let me find it. Where's it at? Oh man, I hope I didn't lose it. I may have. It shows us the first thing on here. Maybe it's this one. No, that's not it. Well, anyways, I had a video. I lost it. Oh, here it is. I actually found it.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah, I was about to just get off of it. So this is what RCMP has said here within the last few days.
We can't hear it.
I had it mute so that there's no echo. Thank you for telling me. All right, here it goes.
And I would like to say that, this is a very tough time for the public at large, the investigators, but especially the family. I can't imagine what they must be going through. We're doing the best we can to get it.
So I know a lot of people would say that maybe perhaps they're trying to ease Daniel into being comfortable. My question to you, Dr. Vaughn, is that's fine. Tell Daniel whatever he wants to hear. Why tell this to the public? What is the advantage of putting the public at ease or attempt to put the at ease by saying either this or that he was truthful in the lie detector test and we don't believe a criminal offense has occurred? Why set that out to the public?
All right, well, right here. Oh, we have to take it off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so right here, I would say that's not what just happened. He just said about the family, but that would be us assuming that he means her and him. What if he, you could say that could be true and he could be still telling a truth and still feel bad for the family. Do you know what I mean?
Right, but he's the stepfather, she's the mother. That's the family that I believe he's referring to. The biological father wasn't in the picture. But it could also mean, or the paternal grandmother who's in the picture now hadn't been in the picture for a long time either.
I hear you. I just think he was very vague.
Right, but it's not only that. I mean, we also have some documents that we can pull up referencing what it is that they put out there as far as they've tried to eliminate them as a suspect. based on all the information. And see, this is where like some people get hooked up. A lot of people, and I see this in the comment section, like to say that I believe Daniel. Me and Daniel disagree on a lot of things. Me and Daniel, I actually don't agree with Daniel on majority of things. It's not Daniel that I believe. It's law enforcement. It's the investigation. It's the evidence. Like, for instance, in the Karen Reed case, a lot of people would tell me, listen to what the lawyer said, listen to what this person said. And I was like, I like to look at the evidence. The fact that she was going in reverse at 24 miles an hour right before his phone stopped moving is a pretty big clue. And that's what I like to do in this case here as well. Now,
I get that, but Daniel, what if, like, how do we know that this isn't what they do and they like that they're doing this for a reason? Like, what if this is part of
the reason?
To see if because he keeps talking. He hasn't gotten a lawyer yet, so he just keeps talking. So, and I feel like he like says a little bit more each time. So, I mean, I'm just saying, how do we know for sure that
well,
he's
Daniel does
sincere?
he does go and talk to them. He goes and talks to them often. He has to be the one to go and talk to them.
Okay, but
So,
in psychology, that's almost makes it worse because he's going to seek them out. It's almost like he wants to know what's happening.
right, but in law enforcement, if you have your suspect that's willing to come in and talk, you bring them in and talk as much as they want. And because they're eventually going to say something, especially if he's talking as much as he is.
Right, but that's the thing. So that's what makes it look like, to me at least, and this is all in my opinion, you guys, but to me, I feel like it doesn't make you look better because you're calling all the time. I feel like if anything, that could be one, to make it look like I'm interested, and then two, to find out what it is that you know.
So here's the documents from RCMP, the actual documents. And this is after the lie detector test. Now, they've already had the phone. They've already had the GPS, the bank statements. And here it goes on here: to eliminate her as a suspect in her children's disappearance and possible murder. She was found to be truthful when answering the questions. At this point, the disappearance is not believed to be criminal in nature. I do not have reasonable grounds to believe a criminal offense has occurred. The polygraph examinations were conducted with the intention of ruling out that as a possibility. Now, when we go back to Moscow, for instance, and we look at how they ruled out Jack Decor, Jack Showalter, the DD driver, the not the DD driver, the private driver, it says at this time we don't believe that hoodie guy, the boyfriend, the person that they called at 3 a.m., or anybody that showed up at the 911 call had any involvement in the case. So when you look at both statements, who seems more confident that those people aren't involved?
Okay, but do you see how you just said it right there? So in the other case, they said the people's name, said that they don't. Do you know what I mean? So they were very specific.
Well, they're very specific here. I mean, this.
Do they say that Daniel
the lie
was
detector test was referenced?
All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm glad you brought up the lie detector test. So hear me out here. So with the lie detector test, I went back and I listened to his interview after a lie detector test, and he talks about how the first thing they asked him was, did you kill the kids? So, all right, I feel like that's not the first question. Don't they ask you a bunch of other questions to get a baseline and stuff? Like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of stuff that he says that I'm just like,
well, I feel like him being right, but him being inaccurate about the information doesn't mean he's lying or being.
That is true. That's fair.
He's just inaccurate. He doesn't.
Okay, so now I have another question.
Explain himself right. But I mean, right, obviously, he took a lie detector test.
Oh, I agree with you there. But I have another question, right? So he said in that same interview and the interviewee even picked it up, and she said, "So wait, you mean to tell me that they only ask questions about their death?" And he said, "Yes. So what if he doesn't know about their death because maybe they're not dead, but he knows about their disappearance?" I'm just saying, I feel like the whole thing is just vague, and that, like, I want to know what questions. How do we know what questions they asked?
Right, and I get that, and I completely understand that, but I think that the questions are going to be, the questions they're going to ask Malaya and Daniel, and because they took 6 folks ended up being asked questions. I think that their possible involvement, all 6 of them, are different. And they're going to ask questions surrounding their possible involvement. So they probably think that at this point, if Daniel was involved, that it was probably murder. As you can see right here, for Malaya, it says eliminated a suspect in causing her children's disappearance and possible murder. So there's two parts here. So her questions were surrounded the disappearance and the possible murder. Now, what are the things that we know that happened that morning?
Wait, where's this for him? Where's his one that like this?
It is right above his. Okay, give me a sec. Daniel underwent a polygraph examination. The following summary, Daniel's polygraph examination procedure indicated he was truthful.
Is that all redacted after that, though?
Yeah, that's all the questions that they asked him. But it's the same thing for her. Now,
okay.
Yeah, so he went in there. She went in there. He saw and heard the kids. She heard the kids. Janie heard the kids. So in order for something to have happened, let's just say it was Thursday night, because everybody wants to say something happened Thursday night. How is Malaya still being truthful about the possible children's disappearance and murder or death and lying about that aspect?
Because what if it was an accident? What if the kids got into something and they felt like it was neglectful, so it wasn't a murder? Like, this is the thing. And again, you guys, I'm not diagnosing anyone, but there is, just like we're saying, if I have to say, okay, you're right, like I can, entertain that thought. I just say entertain this thought. If somebody has a personality disorder, they could pass a lie detector very easily. So I think we also need to think about that. And I'm not even talking about her. I didn't look into her as much. So most of my time, I can't get past him for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think he's a very controlling, possibly, I think he's a very controlling, jealous boyfriend or partner. I think that it can go a little bit worse. I don't think that that's not possible. I think he can be. I don't know if the term abusive is good. Because I don't know.
Neglect is abuse.
No, and I agree.
And that's technically abuse in the United States. So if you look under our common terminology in psychology, that would be abuse. So I would argue that if at least there's neglect going on here, in my opinion, you guys. So please, nobody.
And I've said it a million times. If somebody wants to argue that they were neglectful and the kids got out under, while they were supposed to be supervised and they got lost, I can't argue against that. But like, for instance, you say, what if they got into something? What do you think they possibly could have gotten into? And then we can break it down one step at a time based on the evidence that they have turned in, if it's likely or unlikely that law enforcement could have uncovered that information.
Okay, so first I would say that let's keep in mind too that I just started looking into this case a few days ago.
For sure.
So let's keep that in mind. But so and I think in the very beginning my gut feeling was the same. So I feel like I need to at least explore for myself why I'm not feeling the whole. I'm not feeling the whole 100%.
Let's go with they got into.
So this is what I was going to say. Yeah. So I was going to say that. So now getting into something, this could be anything. We have stores full of child safety things. The number one cause of death amongst children is accidents. Mm-hmm. Okay. That is the number one cause of death. So what if there was an accident and they just panicked because they didn't want to lose custody of their kid or his other kids, or who knows? I'm just saying. So I'm not necessarily saying that he's some, serial type offender. I'm just saying, what if there was an accident?
And you think that both of them were capable?
I don't know. That part I don't know. I didn't look into her as much, so I'm really not sure. Could it be that she was really asleep with the baby? I don't know. Because
to me, if these two guys are able to pass a lie detector, not even come inconclusive, it passed, and if when a lie detector test is wrong, and I got to go look at the statistics, but I'm fairly positive it's more likely that it's wrong saying that you lied when you were truthful. Now, if you're lying, I think that more often than not, it might come back inconclusive. But to come back all the way truthful for two separate people on two separate machines tested by two separate investigators is, in my opinion, unlikely.
But that would be assuming that they were in on something together. So I don't know. I didn't look into her. And I was I don't even know that she would have known anything. Do you know what I mean? I don't know though, because I really haven't looked into it as far as she's concerned. But there's still a possibility that something could have happened that she didn't know about. What about the neighbor that said that there was cars going up and down the street?
This was the same neighbor who's a thief, who has a drug problem and has been arrested several times, and didn't allow law enforcement to search his property.
Okay. That's fair. That's what I mean. I have lots of questions.
One that
That's
I
fair.
suspect,
That's
because
fair.
he's the one that I kind of suspect a little bit, because of the fact that he was claiming also supposedly not to have known that Daniel had kids, but yet his kids also drive or ride the bus. The Daniel's kids ride the bus, or his stepkids ride the bus. There's some weird stuff there with. I almost said his name.
Has Daniel said that he would suspect this person?
He said no. He said no. He said that because he felt that it would be stupid for somebody to not allow law enforcement to search his property. And I'm like, well, did they? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, then why is it stupid? And he's like, he and his mom are dead set that Malaya had somebody from CPS from the reservation, or had her parents or somebody from her family come and pick up the kids to make Daniel look bad in some form or fashion, and so that they can get Meadow, and then she'd be reunited with the kids. I understand some of why they believe that, and the reasons why they believe that is her behaviors, her leaving, and Janie more so than anything is that she wasn't supposed to be there. Right. Janie was supposed to, she typically leaves on Friday mornings at about, 8:40 or whatever. She usually leaves and goes with her brother into town. Well, she was tired and she stayed home. When Daniel ran off into the woods and she says, well, apparently they'd only been gone for 20 minutes. I hear Daniel yelling. That's what wakes me up. I look outside and Malaya's just standing in the driveway. And I walk outside and she's just standing there. I asked her what's going on, and she said Daniel's looking for the kids. They went missing. She said, for how long? 20 minutes. And so it was, for her, it was a brief moment, and she's like, why aren't you yelling for your kids if they just went missing?
I also think it was a little bit crazy too, I don't know. I do think that right, why wouldn't you be? But I guess then we could.
That's what drives their suspicion. I just think that maybe she was in shock.
Yeah, but I just feel like but you would have to have, I would say, in defense of her, even, you would have to have so many people on that reservation lie for you and then keep the lie and tell no one ever. So I'm just if anybody here is listening, if you try to play whisper down the lane, people can't keep it a secret. So there would just be so many people that would have to lie to keep that secret. Right. That's all. Right.
No, yeah. I not only that, I mean, apparently some of the members of her own family are kind of turning on each other. And this is common when there's unanswered questions, when there's holes in things, or when there's things that people don't know, they start to fill in the blanks themselves. And many times when you don't have all the information, the stuff you're filling in is wrong. And so a lot of people are jumping to conclusions. My thing when it comes to this case is to really try not to. And we're going to talk about Daniel's girlfriend and all the stuff that she said. And I think that, me trying not to jump to a conclusion, I almost did when I saw one of the pictures, because, she had a picture of her with a black eye. And I was like, wow, did he do that? And she said, no, I did. I made it myself. And she had a Photoshop, and she sent me a screen video, and we're going to watch that, where she gives herself a bruise on Photoshop.
What do you think her motive was behind telling you that she did that? Because I would be afraid if I did that if I told someone that I did that they wouldn't trust the other things that I say. So do you think there was
She's just being honest. She's been honest with me about the entire thing. I don't think this was a healthy thing for her to have done, but she contacted me a long time ago. And some people might say, Daniel, why didn't you tell Daniel that this girl was using him or doing this? It's because I wanted to see how it played out. I didn't know if Daniel was innocent or guilty when I first started talking, when she reached out to me. I had no idea. And I was like, hey, if you're willing to, she was already talking to him when she messaged me. She had been talking to him. And she's like, hey, I talked to Daniel. I just wanted to give you an idea of who he is and this, that, and the third. And this was literally maybe the day after I came out on Crime and Shame. So right away. And so she contacted me. She told me she'd been talking to him. And then Daniel told me something to the effect that, man, there's this one person that's by my side, but I won't ever bring up that person. And I was like, oh, so you do have a girlfriend. And I mean, it was obvious. And then she started talking to me, and then she started sending me screenshots of their text messages and stuff like that. And when she told me her intent was to find out information. She was not interested in him romantically. She wanted to figure out if he was capable of committing this crime. Think about Scott Peterson. Remember how in the Scott Peterson case, there was Amber, I think, Fried.
Amber Fry.
Yeah. She kind of wanted to do that.
Yeah, but Amber Fry didn't. She was like working with the police, though.
Well, she's tried to work. Taylor tried to work with the police. She contacted them on multiple occasions. They were aware of some of the things, and she has contacted them again, and she's on the rampage. I mean, she even told me here recently that her intention is to destroy him and his character.
But why?
I asked.
I wonder what's her motive. Like, why?
I will say this. Because I don't like jumping to conclusions, and I don't want to say anything that doesn't look right. But, you know, she did put me in touch. She was talking to a friend of Malaya's. Now, I don't know if she was talking to Malaya's friend from the beginning, and maybe this has something to do with their custody battle, you know, because that can get ugly. We all know how custody stuff gets. But your guess is as good as mine when it comes to the why aspect. But I'm going to show you guys all the evidence. I'm going to show you guys what she did. I'm going to show you guys the video of the black eye. I'm going to show you guys the pictures of the bruises that she has and where she said they came from. And so,
do you know if she's in the hospital right now?
She is.
We should all pray for her.
And it's based on the description she gave me. It sounds like it's a psychological thing.
That's what I'm thinking. So everybody keep her in your prayers, please. Yes,
please. And I'm not sharing. I don't know how people found out that she was. I know she talks to other people. There's more information that I know.
Yeah, and you guys, I didn't hear that from you. I heard that from like watching stuff before we came on. So that way, like, I want people to know that you didn't like tell me that. I watched that on YouTube. Yeah,
she's, you know, since it's out there, she's on what sounds like a psychological hold. So yeah, do keep her in your prayers and your thoughts. And one thing that I will also say is that she does bring to light the type of character that Daniel is, and when he is with his partner. And it's not good. You know, the guy needs to growing up to do. He needs some changing to do, you know. And he probably doesn't need to be in a relationship anytime soon, for one.
That's the understatement of the year.
But he needs to change who he is. And if he is an abusive or if he's controlling and jealous, then he's got what's coming for him. You know,
he needs to like do work on himself before he could get into another relationship. But my thing is for females, like, think twice before getting in a relationship and again, I'm not saying because I mean, in any relationship, if, you know, I don't know, especially in this relationship, let me be honest, he just has, it's like one thing after another with the girlfriends. And I don't know. Yeah. I'm just saying, girls, just be careful yourself. Like, there's no reason, like, females should also take accountability for that and not go out with someone in that position.
Yeah.
Until they get help.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming out about her and her. I don't even want to say it. I mean, I know it's out there, but people have like connected the dots, and I think this is what actually put her in the hospital. To be honest with you, is she wasn't completely single.
What?
Yeah, and so it is high drama to the max, and now. It's high school drama magnified because of this case, to be 110% honest with you. But let's get on first with the update from Malaya. This says, I want to apologize for the delay in sharing this announcement. Both our team and family deeply appreciate your patience, understanding, and continued support as we work towards bringing Jack and Lily home. Chrissy Tavers, please bring me home. BMH. My name is Chrissy Tavers. I am an investigative team member assigned to the Jack and Lily case. With Please Bring Me Home. I would like to acknowledge and thank Belinda for her dedication, Daniel for providing information, and Malaya Brooks Murray for her courage in opening up and sharing her experience surrounding the disappearance of her children. So right off the bat, they're thanking Belinda, the biological paternal grandmother. They're thanking Malaya and Daniel. What do you think about that?
That's good. No, that's good. I mean, that's good. And they should be, I mean, you should try to get as many people involved as you can. That's what I would expect any parent to do in this situation.
Exactly. We also want to extend our sincere thanks to Christine Ingrid, and this is who I spoke with, for the use for her impressive media platform, which has greatly helped us reach public, connect with valuable tips, and engage with all of you who continue to support this search. And so, yes, guys, if you guys want to get in hold of Christine, or if you guys got tips and you can't get a hold of them, you can send them to me and I can get them to her, things of that nature. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is get the truth out. I'm not here for the conspiracy or to bash somebody just because it sounds good, or everybody on one side of something, like to bash a guy just because it makes some views and things of that nature. I'm purely evidence-based. That's all I look for. Dr. Vona tells me, she told me, like, I don't know how you can believe him. It's not him, I believe. It's the evidence, I believe. And so that's what I try to stick to. I know a lot of folks think that I just kind of believe Daniel, and that's not the truth. Me and Daniel disagree on a lot more than we agree on. I just agree with RCMP.
I don't know where a lot of people stand on this. So I'm literally going from my gut instinct, and there was like a few shows that I watched on the case, but 2 people, that was it. So I kind of got their opinions, but that was, I obviously already had my own opinions, but right. I don't know. I would like to look into it more, because it's just something right with me.
Look who's here. How do you do, Christine? Thank you for being here. All right, let's continue. Yeah. So it says here, please bring me home is a volunteer-based organization devoted to locating missing persons and bring answers to family who continue to search for their loved ones. Our team is currently preparing to launch a search effort in the coming weeks, and we invite members of the community to join us for these efforts. In the days ahead, see right there, that would lead me to believe, if I was Daniel and I was Janie, I would say, hey, if it's the community coming out there, and if there's persons in the community that don't like them, I mean, somebody could do something to make something look like something. And, I would be hesitant if I was Daniel on his own property. Anywhere else, as long as they got, permission, by all means. Goes on to say, in the days ahead, we'll be releasing additional details about the search, as well as updated information regarding Jack and Lily's clothing descriptions from the time they went missing. Every lead, every volunteer, every share brings us one step closer to finding them. Together, we can bring Jack and Lily home. If you have any information that could help, please contact Please Bring Me Home or RCMP, Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit. And so here's the statement. And this is the first time I'm reading it, guys, so bear with me. I've not know anything about what's on here. As a mother, I love my children more than life itself, and I feel so heartbroken not being able to hold my 2 children, Lily and Jack, kiss them, breathe in their scent, or tuck them into bed, dress them, or wake up to their sweet smiling faces. The longing I have for them to come home back to me is a greater feeling that I could never imagine feeling or put into words. I am feeling. There is not a single day, a minute, or a second that goes by that I am not thinking about my children. I walk to the store and all I see is things that they love. I want to get for them when they come home. The candy they like, the clothes they wear, the toys they love. All I see is them. So first and foremost, that first paragraph, what is your first impression of her feelings?
Well, one, I see someone that's trying to tell us something. Like, I feel, you know what I mean? That's a part of this. So the fact that she has the nonprofit, that's good. That would make me say, okay, well, this might be part of the reason too that she's talking. Plus, everybody's waiting to hear from her. But then she talks about, like, I don't know, Daniel. I didn't read this like this, and now that I'm looking at it this way, what do you think about this? I just feel like, why do people feel the need to, like, say certain things? It just makes me wonder.
To a hammer, everything's a nail. And to the conspiracy theorist, everything's a conspiracy. I
am not a conspiracy theorist, though. I wouldn't consider myself a conspiracy.
Right. But so to me, I also think this sounds very... This doesn't sound like it was written in one run.
No, and that would actually be okay if somebody took a few times to write it, especially if they haven't talked yet and they wanted to get their words right. But then that same thing, right? If it took more, like if she was worried about the writing, there's like that mistake right there. Like, I don't know. I mean,
I think maybe she had some help writing it.
Yeah. And again, that's probably fine, right? There's nothing really wrong with that.
if she had help from, I don't know, AI, would that make a difference?
So this would, all right. So I'm so glad you asked that because my dissertation has to do with this. So this is the thing. If she told AI her everything, like poured out to the AI and then said, can you please help me? This is what I want to say. And then they write something and she says, I like this part, but not this part. And then she keeps going back and forth for, you know what I mean? And then she gets it to a point where, it makes sense to her, then that would be okay. But not if you're just like, hey, I need to come up with something. Then no, I don't think that's okay.
Yeah.
It depends on how you use it. Are you using it to write it for you or are you using it as a tool?
So we do know she's had a long time before she could speak. So
why?
Well, I mean, it's been a long time since she's spoken. So, it's been a long time. So
I didn't know if you meant like she couldn't speak for a reason, like she wasn't allowed
well,
to.
She spoke to law enforcement. A lot of people get mad because she didn't speak to the public. She didn't speak to the news media, and she didn't make any outcries. But she spoke to law enforcement at every time that they asked her. She willingly came in for a lie detector test and willingly came in for everything for the most part. So, just kind of like I tell Daniel, because Daniel will tell me like, oh man, she's quiet. She didn't do that. I was like, hey, she did everything you did. She went through the ringer like you. She got interrogated. She gave up her phone. She took a lie detector test. Much as you question her and things of that nature, if she was capable of outwitting the law enforcement while still cooperating that much, then what does that say about you? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you know how she feels about the fact that he does like he doesn't just come out and say like, no, she had nothing. Like he'll say, I don't know. Like, do you know how she feels about that? I feel like he doesn't stop people from looking into her, which I think is odd.
He blames her.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, what does she say about that? Like, because my thing is, if she knew something, wouldn't that be the perfect opportunity to be like, wait, what? So so for her, I get that.
Yeah. From what I understand is she doesn't necessarily blame him for the kid's disappearance or things of that nature, but they're going through a messy custody battle and they're not being nice to each other, which is the other thing. This is what I mean when I say, like, if you were an investigator, the first thing that you want to do is to separate your suspects so they can't talk to each other. They did that to themselves. Then you want them to turn on each other. They've done that. And then you want to get them as cooperative as possible to say things. And then you utilize the evidence. Because in the end, Dr. Vona, has anybody ever confessed to something that they didn't commit?
I'm sure, Daniel, that's like, I guess that's a trick question, but I know what you mean by that. No, most people, the majority of people would not.
I'm not. What I'm saying is that has somebody ever said anything that was suspicious and ended up being just a suspicious thing?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, don't you think? Right.
Which is why we utilize evidence, and that's why I think the evidence is the most important aspect of this. And just like Daniel, when you look at the evidence for Malaya, unless you want to argue neglect, which I cannot argue back. If you want to say, hey, they should have been watching them, they got out of the house and they wandered off and that was their responsibility, I bow down. You're absolutely right. As much as I think that there's a human factor to those type of things, like kids run off, kids go and hide and things like that. In fact, you know what, I'm going to bring it up after we talk about this, because apparently I just found out, and I'm getting this. I'm trying to pull the report myself, but Jack, this wasn't the first time he ran away. Jack had ran away and went through a scrapyard and a soccer field, and he just so happened to get into a school where school found him, and this was 2 years ago.
How old was he then?
2.
So how was he gone that long and nobody noticed?
I think they did. They just couldn't find him. He went through the backyard, got out, went through a scrapyard, and then went through a soccer field. This is while they were living, I believe, with Patty.
Isn't that more of a reason
to filed a report on it? There's reports, and I'm waiting to get those reports.
Isn't that more of a reason, though, to make sure that everything's locked up and gated? And
I agree 100%. But this also is an indication that because, like, for instance, Janie, who this happened before Daniel and Malaya moved into Janie's house. I asked Janie about this. She said, let me go and find out and ask. And she's like, you know what? Yeah, did happen, but that wasn't with me. She was like, she's like, they were staying at somebody else's house, and little Jack got out of that house, and he went over a kilometer away. And so when you hear this and we find out that he's able to travel that distance, to me, what I'm finding out too is that one of the reasons why CPS was called was because Lilly was pulling her hair out. That's the behavior. Now, I didn't find this out. I don't think it was Daniel that told me this. This is somebody else I got this information from. That the little girl was pulling her hair out, and you mentioned that was a sign of what? So
it's a sign of stress, and if it's like clinical, meaning that it is real and that this has really happened, and this is, a credible reference, then this could be what we call trichotillomania, which is a hair pulling disorder where kids, and it's usually kids, will pull their hair out because they can't articulate often how, or in detail, how they feel. So this is a way to deal with the stress.
Yeah.
They'll pull it not just out of their hair, but like their eyelashes. Bella Watts did it. If anybody watched the Watts stuff, Bella Watts had that hair pulling.
Right. And so from what I have found out through my investigation as well, talking to multiple people, and this includes some of Malaya's family, it seemed like the relationship was going south between Malaya and Daniel, and that she was looking to break up with him or leave him. When that happens, there's usually arguments and there's fights. To me, I wouldn't be surprised, and I've said this from the beginning, that maybe they saw something, maybe they were scared, maybe they were stressed, and that played a role into why they left.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, but it could also. Do we know how he felt about her leaving? Like,
he seems like a controlling person. I'm sure he would not have. It would not have gone well.
That's the other thing that I just question and stuff, because I don't know. And
that's why some people think that Malaya had the kids taken away so that she can get away from Daniel. It doesn't make sense to me. I think there's a lot of other ways you can just, end the relationship. It's not like Daniel was the biological father of Lilly and Jack. He had no rights to them. You know what I mean?
So I'm glad that you just brought that up. I also think that it must have been stressful for him too, to now become, so he had his kids, from what I understand, half time with his ex. So that would mean that he was, that he had kids half of the time. So then once he's with her and he has her kids, and then their dad isn't involved, now he's got her kids 100% of the time. Do you know when he came into their lives? Like how old they were?
Well, I think Meadow's 2, so I think he's been with them for 3-4 years now. Or I think Jack was a very young baby when they met.
Okay, so in that situation, right? So think about how stressful it was to have your kids, right? And again, not even you guys. I always say it's the toughest job you'll ever love. It's stressful though to be a good parent. It's easier not to be a good parent. So imagine all the stresses that he must have endured. And again, even though you would like to think that everybody's going to love your kids, that doesn't happen all the time. So now he has extra stress that is there. I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know. So I wonder what his relationship was like with the kids. I guess that's what I'm getting at. What was his relationship like with them? Does anybody know?
According to him, and this is the only thing that I have, is according to him and the documents, Malaya indicated that he was never physical with the kids. That's what the documents say. That's what the reports say. I know there's going to be a screenshot that we're going to talk about a little bit later that might say something different. But according to Malaya and according to RCMP, his discipline was vocal. And according to Malaya, the kids would listen to him more because he had a voice that, I think the term that she used was, he had a voice they would listen to. He was never physical with them. And then the last thing that I heard today is I asked somebody who's connected to a friend of Malaya's about, Daniel's interactions with Malaya, and they said that the extent of abuse, I put that in quotations because it's alleged, I don't know, I wasn't there, was I guess he held her down when she tried to leave once.
Oh.
So that was the extent of the, I guess, of the abuse. It's not good one way or the other, but that's what they said, but nothing happened to the kids. Put it at the, that's what I'm hearing.
So can I just say something real quick? So you guys, one of two things could be happening. Either he's innocent, right? And he's not responsible for any of this. And in that, I say, I apologize. There's just something about your personality that's off to me. On the other hand, this could also be someone, and this is all legend. I'm going based off of research in psychology. So on the other hand, him being very controlling and stuff like that. And if he does have any personality disorder, and I do think that he shows a lot of narcissistic tendencies at minimal. But with that being said, on that end, you could also have somebody, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily him, but this is where my thought process is. And this is why I think I'm thinking in so many, in such a broad way as of right now, because I don't know all of the facts yet. But for him, I feel like another thing, or not him personally, but somebody else, there's also something called, well, I guess you could look at it, not filicide, which is when somebody takes the lives of the children in order to hurt the mother. So, and again, I'm not saying that this is what he did necessarily, but if you're looking at like statistics and stuff like that, that would fall under the other end of that spectrum. So again, I think we're dealing with either or, but I don't think there's like a middle ground here. I feel like he either was involved or he wasn't. I don't feel like he knew about it type thing.
Right. And I don't disagree with you there. I just think that when it comes to like the possibilities and the accusations, there has to be evidence to back it up. And I don't see the evidence that backs up the possibility of him doing something like nefarious and cooperating to the extent that he has, and law enforcement not figure it out. And to the point where they're still coming out saying some of the things that they're saying, aside
so
with
it hasn't been like years though, right? Didn't this just happen like 5 months ago or something? So like, isn't it still early in the case technically?
Not necessarily. I mean, look at what happened with the Haro case. You had some kids, and that was the one with the kid. Remember the lady that said that somebody came up to her and said, "Hola." She turned around and clocked her, and the kid went missing, and they ended up arresting mom and dad. You see, these type of cases aren't hard to solve. If a parent committed a crime like this and whatnot, it's not a very difficult crime to solve. Drug cases aren't very difficult to solve. A rookie cop probably, if Daniel and Malaya had something to do with this nefariously, now again, the neglect aspect, that's a different story. But
that could be what I'm picking up on.
Yeah, the nefarious aspect
is the neglect.
And that's very much possible. But the nefarious aspect, like the Haro case, and those two people didn't turn on each other. They lawyered up. They didn't take a lie detector test. They cooperated. And in the beginning, the limited amount of cooperation that they gave was enough to have them arrested within a week. So with these guys, with the amount of cooperation that they've had, and they didn't find little Haro either. They don't have his body. There's a lot of cases they don't have a body, and they're still able to make an arrest. They're still able to make a determination that a criminal offense occurred. And in this case, they can't do either one. And so you have more cooperation. You have more talking, you have lie detector tests, you have phones being turned over, them going through their GPS, their location, their bank statements, their text messages. And so, like, for instance, when people say that, well, maybe, we'll take maybe the kids got into something. All right, what could have they got into? If it was like a cleaning product or something like that and they panicked, okay, you might have a point there. But if it was drugs, well, he has to buy them from somewhere. He has to get money. He has to set up a buy. There's got to be a financial transfer of funds, and there also has to be a location where they meet. And those things aren't hard to find once you have somebody's phone. And if those things are missing, then it's typically because they deleted, factory reset, or did something to their phone to make that happen. And that has evidence behind it, because now you see a history of deleted space in their phone. And so to me, when you look at the evidence, like if you doubt Daniel or you doubt Malaya, well, take their statements out of it, because at the end of the day, what you use in court is evidence. And let's focus in on the evidence and see if there's something that we can tie in. And to me, I think that the most we can tie in is perhaps neglect.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That could be absolutely what I've been picking up on the whole time. And again, I've also said, full disclosure, I teach family violence, and we just did a chapter on neglect being a very much a part of abuse, at least in our terminology here. So I am being, full disclosure, that could be what I'm picking up on. I'm just picking up on something is what I know.
See, like this guy here says that they didn't take their phones. There's documents. I have them. Banking.
But my thing is, if it was like an accident,
forensic cell phones. Here's a document on the forensic cell phones.
But it wouldn't be on a cell phone if it was like an accident or something that happened sporadically. So that
he would have had to have left, and now maybe he left the phone at home and took, left the kids. They looked at cameras from a certain distance from his house. Now the radius isn't going to be super small because of the ruralness of the area. So you're going to get a radius around his property with like cameras of a digital footprint that might be a little bit wider than what you would hope in like a suburban area, where there's cameras and ring footage and stuff like that. But there's still a radius there. And they talked about 8,000 hours of footage and things of that nature. And they went back and they were looking days before because they had a sign of life the day before on Thursday. There's video of Daniel, Malaya, and the kids at a store. And so you go back to that point because that's when you know they were alive. And you look at the radius of cameras and see if his vehicle ever left, if his vehicle ever passed. You look at his phone information to see if his phone left when he said he didn't leave, those type of things. And then you probably also look at the vehicle information. Now, I don't know, how tech his stuff is. But if they were able to download their computer and there was like ignition cycles, those things can determine whether or not the vehicle was turned on, when it was turned on, how long it was turned on for. You may not be able to tell where it went or things of that nature, but you'll be able to figure out if the person turned on the vehicle and left somewhere. You'll be able to determine speed and things like that. So there's ways to determine whether or not he left his house between Thursday and Friday. Not with 100% accuracy, of course, but if this guy's panicking, if this guy's making a mistake, this was an accident, there's usually a lot of mistakes in those type of situations because it's not a situation that you go and plan for. Does that make sense?
Yes, but this would also be assuming that he took the phone and that they looked at the black box in the car or whatever it's called. I know it's not called that, but I knew what you meant by black box. Right.
And so, from what I understand is they looked at their phone, their vehicles. I don't know if they picked up their cars. I know that Malaya's car was towed. I don't know exactly what they did with it afterwards. Daniel don't know because him and Malaya broke up and she blocked him right away and all these other things. And so he's unsure. And I haven't been able to ask Malaya of how much, they actually looked at that car. I'm assuming they did.
I would hope so.
All right, let's continue this. So this goes on to say, I so desperately just want them home, safe and sound, back into my arms where I'll never let them go. I am truly traumatized not being able to hear the sweet sound of their voices. So she wrote that twice, to hear, their laugh when they would sing a Gabby's Dollhouse song that now only make me cry. When I hear it, because I hear is Lilly and Jack singing along, not being able to breathe in their scent when I embrace them tightly. So she's talking about some things that, specific things that have to do with her kids. I'm assuming that's not something that AI would know, but what do you think? She's using specific things that the kids liked.
No, that's fine. But what does that mean? That now only make me cry when I hear it because all I hear is Lilly and Jack singing along, not being able to breathe in their scent. What does that mean?
I'm assuming there was supposed to be a period there because the N is capitalized. But then it could also just be grammar, not the grammar police. I'm assuming what she's saying is that the song that they used to love to sing that was a happy moment makes her cry because it makes her sad to hear that it's a reminder. The not being able to breathe in their scent when I embrace them tightly. I'm assuming that that's
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I just think that's what she wants to do. I don't want these moments to be memories. I want my babies back home. My Lily Mae and Jackie. The pure pain I suffer is just not knowing where they are has impacted my life and Meadows and my family in the most devastating way. Life feels extremely hard to keep going with no answers. It is just pure lostness, like I can no longer feel at home anymore. No matter how lost I feel, I have not ever given up hope that my children will be returned to home to me safe and sound. I have all the faith and hope I will see them again. Please, anyone with any information, no matter how small, please come forward. Please do not be afraid to use your voice. Bring help bring home Lily and Jack. Even the smallest detail are crucial. I am so incredibly grateful and thankful for all of the ongoing efforts of the RCMP, Major Crimes, Search and Rescue, and please bring me home, PBMH, the RCMP Major Crime Unit, and please bring me home. We'll continue to investigate. They need your help. You can share tips anonymously at pleasebringmehome.com or contact the RCMP directly. I will never stop searching for my children until they are found, brought home safe and sound. Someone somewhere knows something, so please bring my babies home. To the incredible volunteer searchers and investigators and compassionate strangers who have stood beside us, thank you. Your tireless dedication, your prayers, your time spent combing through the woods and yards, sharing photos and refusing to give up. You and the hope my children will be home and my youngest daughter are the reason I hold strength and keep going. You shown me that love, kindness, and compassion still shine, even the darkest times. Everything you've done has not gone unnoticed. Thank you with the deepest gratitude. Malaya Brooks Murray, and she signs it, and a lot of people are pointing out that she forgot the A in her first name.
Yeah. Well, all right. So this is the deal. So while you were reading this, I'm looking, and this is obviously is this on their letterhead or like it looks like they photocopied this on like their. So maybe like they asked her to write something for this. So maybe like which would mean something because then it would say that she was asked to write something as opposed to just coming out and wanting to say something, which would say to me, why do you want us to know these things? But if it's for an update from the desk of, please bring me home, then it could be possible that they said, look, can you write something that we could put out, So then that would make sense why she wrote it, which is what I was asking in the beginning. I didn't know why she felt the need to be telling us this, but that would make sense if they asked her to do that.
Gotcha. And I think also just let the public know that she's not giving up. I mean, she's got a lot of people, because she doesn't speak, automatically assume the worst,
I think she makes herself look better by not speaking. I feel like that's maybe what I'm picking up on him is that he speaks too much.
I think so too, because I was talking to Janie, and Janie was like, why does everybody blame Daniel? I mean, one, the kids were Malaya's responsibility, and Daniel was asleep and was woken up by her. She heard them. They got out. She should have been responsible and stuff. And she's just frustrated because everybody looks at her, everybody looks at Daniel, and she feels that all the attention is there and it could be elsewhere because of what they feel, right? Because they have their opinions on Malaya.
And who was this?
Janie, Daniel's mom. And I told her, I was like, well, she don't talk. They don't have anything to analyze. They have nothing to go off of. You guys do. And that's the difference.
Okay, you said something interesting to me. So she said that they're her responsibility, right? Because they're technically her kids. So that goes back to what I was saying.
Well, I mean, that may have been more of me.
Okay, well then that would. Okay, I'm glad that you said that then, because that would go back to what I was saying a little while ago, that even if somebody would want to love their stepkids like their own, not everybody can or does. And it doesn't mean that he didn't. I'm just saying that that's also a possibility. Right.
And Janie said that. She's like, people say that they get mad at me. They say this, they say, oh, I couldn't have loved, Jack and Lily as much as my own. She's like, I've only known Jack and Lily for 2 years. I have grandchildren who are 9 and 10 years old. Of course. The one thing about Janie is she's been 100% truthful with me, even to that point, right?
Even in the interview that I saw with her, I wasn't getting, that's what I mean. So I saw her interview and I wasn't getting red flags. I don't know why I am with the son. And I apologize if she's listening. Like, I don't mean any disrespect. I just need to figure out like what it is. Again, maybe it's just a neglect thing. I don't know.
I think the son I think he's got some problems, and I don't know if these problems are going to equal out to the death of two kids. But I think, for instance, it don't sound like he has the best relationship with his mom, and not everybody does. Me and my mom have had our ups and downs. We're too much alike. That's what I say when we butt heads. But he goes sometimes a little bit too far with that, in my opinion. Just kind of like, he gets. Let me put it this way: like Janie loves her boy, and I think he loves her back and stuff. But he according, well, I don't know. It just don't seem like it's the most. Man, I don't want to put something out there that's not 100%. It's just my opinion. From my perspective, I think he could have a better relationship with his mom. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
From
I will
my
say,
perspective.
yeah, well, she did get the trailer, right? So she could live.
Yeah.
All right. So you got to give her that, right? I mean, who does that? So that's a good person to give up your spot for your son. And
I agree. She's done a lot for the guy. And,
right. So I definitely give her that.
Right. Exactly. And so she's done a lot for him. And, I think she's honest. I don't think she's out there lying for him, because at the end of the day, and this is one thing that I pointed out in the beginning, they all corroborate each other one way or the other. Daniel saw and heard Lilly and Jack. He saw Lilly, heard Jack. Malaya heard them, possibly saw them. The RCMP documents make it look like she saw them too. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Daniel's the only one that saw Lilly. No, it sounds like from the RCMP documents, Malaya saw Lilly duck her head in also. So they have the same story there. And then Janie also heard them. And so for me, my thought at that process for that is either they all had something to do with it and they're covering up for each other, or it's impossible for Daniel to have done something to the kids on Thursday night, Malaya and Janie not know about it, and then hear them Friday morning.
But what if Janie didn't know anything either way? Like, and again, what if it wasn't that they did or that he did something? What if, and again, the number one cause.
If the kids went missing, if they died, if anything happened Thursday, how could they be heard by the mom and the grandma the next morning?
Oh, I see what you're saying there. Okay,
Yeah,
I see what
it's
you're
impossible.
saying.
It's impossible for something to have happened to them Thursday.
And she's positive that she heard their voice and that it was them.
She said she did. Now, Malaya also heard them. Malaya also passed.
Okay, but that also, like that one, you could also say, like, if something happened, they could have been like, oh my God, like, we'll lose custody of our kids, and they could have came, So, and again, I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm saying like that would make sense where the mom still might not know even in that situation.
But if that was the case, and then now Daniel's blaming the mom, like
blaming
Malaya, yeah, he's saying that they believe that she had the kids kidnapped for one reason or another.
So wouldn't the same thing be true though? Like for them, that if you could say to me that neither one of them did anything because of all the police stuff, then wouldn't that same thing be true for them, that she couldn't have done anything because of all the police stuff?
Yeah, I don't believe she did.
Well, that's what I was asking. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I say is like, and I told Daniel the same thing. That's the one that, like I said, I don't agree with Daniel on like more than 50% of the stuff that we talk about.
So wait, I have a question. If she could take a lie detector and pass it and they could still think that she did something, then why couldn't somebody else think that he did the same? No. I'm saying if he passed the lie detector and so did she, right? How could he and the mom say that like he passed the lie detector, but she failed hers, but passed it? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, how could it be good for one thing? Oh, you don't think she passed?
Oh, I think she passed. I think that Daniel and Janie have confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, I think that they think Malaya did it somehow. And
right, but that's my thing. So how could they argue that he took a lie detector test and passed, but then she took one and passed, but hers didn't pass? Like, how does that work? Like, how could it be good for one and not the other?
It's because like the same thing that when I'm talking to somebody who already thinks that Daniel is 100% guilty, no matter what the evidence says, no matter all those things, they still think he's guilty. That's kind of where they're at. Those folks have confirmation bias. They're closed off to the evidence. They just want to look at what he said, don't want to look at what the evidence says. And no matter what happens with the evidence, no matter how blue in the face I get, I'm like, all right, well, this, that, and the third, they still think he did something, even though RCMP has said differently. RCMP sounds like they said differently about Malaya. She was part of the family that they're wanting to do things for. So to me, I just think that just like everybody, like I said, to a hammer, everything's a nail. I think that Daniel and Janie are hammers to the nail that Malaya did something. And so no matter what comes out, it's to them, it's in that light. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, but I think that they also, not you, but they need to also consider or take into consideration that if they could say that she took a lie detector and that she supposedly passed according to the police. I always get their the initials wrong. That's why I say police, you guys. Yeah. But according to the police, right? So she passed and so did he. So how could they believe that he really passed according to the police if they don't believe that she really, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I know you're saying like people you talk to, but this is the actual person. So it's like if me and Rai both pass my husband both pass a lie detector test, how can I say, you guys, I didn't do it, I passed the lie detector test, and then blame him knowing that he passed the lie detector test?
Well, he also thinks that because he assumes they asked Malaya the same questions they asked him. And I've tried to tell him that that's not the case. There's different circumstances, right? So he assumes that the questions that they asked Malaya in the lie detector test are the same, which were surrounding the death. That's all they asked Daniel. So he's assuming that's all they asked her. So he wants to take another polygraph test surrounding the disappearance, and he's willing to do it. And he wants other people to take the polygraph test surrounding the disappearance as well.
Will he take one too?
Yeah, he said he wants to. He's willing
About
to take
the
more.
Disappearance?
Yeah, he's the one that wants to do it. Good. And he wants other people from Malaya's family to take polygraph tests too. And he's thinking that if they adjust the type of questions to go with the disappearance, that Malaya or Haley or somebody on their family is going to fail. And I'm not there. I don't think that's the case. And I think that they did ask him different questions. It wasn't even the same investigator that asked them the questions. It was completely separate. Each investigator that does one of those things has their own way, has their own questions, has their own way of forming questions. And it's more of an art than it is a science, which is why it's one of the things it's not really, reasons why it's not used in court, and it's the way they read it.
If that's the case, Daniel, then how could you say if it's one of the things that aren't a science that we don't even use it in court, then how can we really say that we're confident that
because
he
it's
really
still
passed?
Well, I mean, the IgG isn't used in court either, and look what happened to Brian Koberger.
I thought it is now. I thought it is. No.
Nope, because it doesn't point directly to him. And when it comes to the lie detector test, it not being utilized in court isn't to protect the state. It's to protect the client. It's to protect the defendant against something that isn't 100% obvious. So yes, he may have lied and it could have come truthful, but the odds of that are very low, very, very low. And those odds are magnified or multiplied lower or decreased by even more with the fact that two people passed it. And so, and surrounding the same circumstances, that if one was involved, they more than likely both were involved. And so to me, it's not designed, the fact that they're not utilized in court isn't designed to protect the state. It's designed to protect them. If he comes out truthful, like he has, and let's just say they arrested and charged him, I guarantee you his lawyer's bringing that into court.
But how can they? I thought you can't bring it into court.
If it's against you, it's not against him. He passed it.
So, okay. So then if I were to, if I had to fight that on the other end, you could also say that there's about 2% of our population that we know have personality disorder, that we know are narcissistic, and that some, even about 1.5% that are antisocial. So with that being said, if that were the case, and I'm not saying it is because I've never even sat with him to do this. I'm just saying, now this is a blanket. This isn't even about him. This is just in general. That in that case, we're looking at, there is real science behind that. The amygdala is smaller in a lot of their brains, and that's the part of the brain that houses emotion. So if you're not feeling the same stress response that I feel, then under a polygraph, when asked the exact same questions, whether we're wrong or right, I'm going to react much differently. So I'm going to react in the way that they're used to, where he might not him, but like the other
right,
person.
but that's why there's baseline questions. There's questions that get you to run a baseline. There's questions that make you lie. So that way they can determine based on those emotions and the way you're acting in those situations. With Janie, she had a heart condition, and her heart didn't change whether she was lying or telling the truth.
Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say, though. That can also happen with a personality disorder. But do they know if his didn't change, or did he pass?
They
Like,
do
to
know.
me, I have so many questions.
They do know. They do know based off the baseline questions and things. That's why Janie couldn't be utilized, and they were able to determine that she couldn't be utilized because of her heart condition.
Did they ever give her a test?
They did. And they found out that she has, based off of that test, is what determined that she has. It's in the RCMP documents too, that they did give her a test and they couldn't utilize it because she had a condition. And so if there was something there that would have been like, hey, regardless, this guy would have had to have not just the control to not lie, but also make the movements of his body and trick the machine to show lying when he was supposed to be lying. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's also people that pass a polygraph. And again, you guys, I'm not saying Daniel, like I'm saying in general, I'm just saying the point that it could be possible. But people are saying that he's not diagnosed with a personality disorder. I definitely said before I said anything that I can't diagnose him. I've never met him. So I'm just saying there are people, though, like I can understand the other side of that. Like there are people all the time that pass a lie detector. So then what would you say about them, that their lie detector test wasn't as good? Like what would be
I mean, a lot of those people went through a lot of training. I don't think Daniel has. And a lot of people that can pass it have gone through a lot of training to do so. The ones that can, I think that is a very small percentage of the population that can, without any training, just go in there and pass it, which is the other thing. I mean, this was if this was a situation where it was a crime that happened in the moment, there wouldn't have been a moment for him to practice passing a lie detector test before the murders, before the death, if that's what happened, right? If he had something to do with it, or if there was an accident or whatever, it's not like he had months like Brian Koberger to plan things out, try to figure out how to take a lie detector test, whether he'd be asked one. So he would have had to have come up with that. Now,
I don't think you would have to know that, though. Like, I think if you're a narcissist, you could pass a lie detector just based on the fact that you don't feel anxiety or regret or remorse in the same way.
Do you think it would take a lot of control to pass a lie detector test?
Not if you have not if you have and again, I don't know that he does. This is just in general, everyone. So I'm saying for people that do pass it, a lot of them have a personality disorder, and because they don't feel guilt and remorse and stuff, they can detach and compartmentalize 100%, and therefore they could say something and still pass, because there are people that do pass that are lying, right? So I'm just saying in general, it could happen that somebody could pass and be lying. I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying, isn't it possible?
I don't say that it's not possible. I just find it very unlikely when you factor in that there's multiple people that passed them. If it was just him, I'd say you have a point, but it was multiple people. And again, if the fact that this other person that took the lie detector test had heard the kids and saw the kids that morning, so they would have had to have had some sort of knowledge, or something would have had to have happened between 8 a.m. and 10 o'clock, or between 9 and 10 o'clock. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, because Malaya is the one that woke him up. He was asleep up to that point. And so, her passing the lie detector test, if something happened that morning, it would most likely be from Malaya, and she's the one that passed the lie detector test. And one thing that everybody's pointing out, because in the recent docs, because she woke up and she made a phone call, I guess, to her mom like at 8:28, and I guess that was redacted before, because she had called in at 6 and then 911 was called at 10. She was supposedly asleep, but now there's a call at 8:28. I think that could have been a number of things. Again, I don't jump to conclusions. It could have been a butt dial. If she'd been talking to her mom, your parents' contact is one that I have butt dialed quite a bit, because it's a contact that I've utilized. It may have been that she did try to call her mom at 8:28 and her mom didn't answer and she went to bed. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have happened there, but Daniel was supposedly asleep, and this is according to Malaya. She had to wake him up to say, the kids are, I don't hear them. So I don't know.
I thought he woke her up. See, that's what I just
No.
feel like I get so many conflicting stories. And again, that's not, I just have to make sure that I'm getting
Well,
my
the
facts straight
RCMP
so that I can make the
documents,
best.
yeah, the
Yeah, that's what I have
RCMP
to do.
documents indicate that Daniel woke up when Lily popped her head in, and then he went back to sleep. And then that Daniel woke up again when Malaya told him, I don't hear the kids.
I think I was thinking of when he woke up first with the kid popping their head. And I think that's where I was thinking. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But according to the RCMP documents, Malaya also saw and is a witness to that event. So there's two people that are saying that. So to me, if one of them is involved, both of them have to be involved if it's something nefarious, don't you think?
Not technically, but I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying. I definitely, I'm not like debating against him particularly. It's just against like some of the theories that that it couldn't be him. I don't know. I still find something off with him. It
Yeah.
could just be the neglect thing. And maybe because I have a specialization in marriage and family therapy, I like react to his being a bad boyfriend. Like maybe I'm getting like a visceral response to that, but but I will absolutely be 100% an adult and a professional, and I will reflect on why am I doing this so that I can at least know for myself why that is, because it could be something like my expertise or just a reaction.
Yeah, no, you're right. And like I said, I think what you're picking up on is that the guy is a pretty douchey boyfriend. And I think you're picking up on the fact that he's controlling and that he, from what I understand, and this is what Taylor told me, and some of the things that I have heard as far as accusations coming from Malaya's side is that Daniel tried to isolate these women, as far as not allowing them to have males on their social media, and was jealous, controlling in that aspect, and maybe even perhaps isolate from their families, which is all big red flags. 100%.
That doesn't mean you're a murderer, though. There's a ton of people that do this. You know what I mean? That are just bad boyfriend or girlfriends.
Exactly. So let's go into this. So this is Taylor. This is the girlfriend for Daniel. Again, she contacted me a long time ago, and she basically wanted to find out information and find out if Daniel was capable of committing a crime. That was her sole intention. She talks about it here as well. She talks about how she started to like him, even though that wasn't the plan. That was never the plan. I mean, she's very honest about it. So these are some of the screenshots that she sent. Now, this is the first thing that I saw, and I was like, whoa. And as you can see, the first thing I said is, you're fake. And then I go, oh, they're fake, because she says, those pictures are fake. I have the originals, same as the originals from September 25th. He got scared because I found out he was talking to other women and I wouldn't listen to his lies. And so this is what happened. Taylor manipulated Daniel by showing him pictures of her with bruises and saying that her ex-boyfriend or ex-partner had caused those bruises. And this was in an attempt to get him to open up to her, as far as her saying she was an abuse victim. What do you think about that, first and foremost? Somebody manipulating somebody else by utilizing fake bruise pictures to get them to open up.
I think it's an absolute horrible thing to do to someone. And I'm not, and because this is the thing, we tell people to believe people when they say that they've been victimized. So then, which is another reason that I said to you, this is this also is a red flag to me. Why would someone first off say that they want to be with somebody that they say they don't want to be with because they want to find out the truth of things? But what is the motive behind that? And then two, what would be the motive behind faking pictures like this that could destroy someone else's life?
100%. 100%. Now, Daniel threatens her. She said, and what I mean by threaten is going to RCMP, because the thing is, Major Crimes knows he abuses you. And I think this is him attempting to stop her from going back to the ex. All right.
So he called Major Crimes clearly because he said, I told him that.
Exactly. And so He says, you effed up. No, you did. It's all fake. No, it's true. But I go with what is real. And this is Daniel sending her the screenshots that he has of her with bruises to her eyes. Then just when he goes, he threatened me with CPS. Those pictures are fake. And she has this picture here. She's like, this is why I make sure I keep the originals. You know, it looks like a damn bruise to me. All right, September 11th, 2025, 3:03 p.m. September 11th, 2025, 11:51 a.m. And then she has some bruises here. Now, I freaking can't tell whether or not these are real or not because of what she's done.
There's another picture it's a picture of her. So the picture that you showed with the bruising, the first one, there's a picture of her. I could text it to you real quick of her without the bruising. It's the exact same.
Oh, no, I have them.
You have it. So I think that one shows that she did, in fact, because we're saying, oh, they kind of look like they could be real. But if you look at that other picture and then put it next to this one, unless, I mean, like you said, you're reading the metadata would tell us, is it the same day? And if it is, that is a terrible thing to do to someone, to fake that. And my thing is, the only reason then that she would have admitted that to him is because he now called, the authority on her to tell her so that she doesn't go back to her boyfriend, which then makes more sense to me. But that's just not cool on his part either. Like, I feel like they're both playing dirty here.
Yeah, they are. They very much are. And this is what I told my mods, because I've talked to some of my mods about these pictures. So you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Both of these guys are getting their stupid prize right now. 100%, my opinion. You play stupid games, you get a stupid prize. So this is a video she sent me, because I was kind of like, are you sure they're fake? Because I was thinking Daniel did something. Like I thought he did something. I was like, are you sure they're fake? They look pretty real. And she sends me this video here, which is this. This is her doing this, not me.
That's infuriating. I didn't see this. That's infuriating. Why would someone do that?
I don't know.
Wow. That is such a messed up thing to do to someone.
And then she sent me these images that have these bruises. But as you can see, these are the images that were taken the same day that she made the fake ones. So I can't tell you whether they're real or not.
I guess that's my thing, right? Like, it's a shame because I do believe that she was a victim of some sort, and maybe not of his, but like, she clearly is having a hard time right now. So we all have to remember that, right? So I want to be careful of that.
It gets worse though. Like she talks like here recently, right before she got hospitalized, was like, I miss him.
Because that tells me that she was probably traumatized at some point in her life. Because what happens is when we're traumatized, when we're younger, we wind up associating that trauma with love, especially when it's by somebody that is supposed to love us, like a parent, a spouse, whatever the case may be. But then we tend to re-victimize or re-traumatize ourselves over and over and over again until we get help. So hopefully this is the help that she needs. Hopefully she gets real help here. If that's what it is, hopefully she's getting real help so that this cycle stops for her.
I agree. And so she goes, he's doing damage control because Daniel, and this is what I was talking about earlier about the lie detector test. So Daniel started freaking out, seeing these pictures and bruises and stuff. And she told him that she was going to tell people he abused her. So he reached out to people like Sonny. I don't want to say it that way. Sorry, Sonny. He reached out to Sonny from Crime and Shame. And the reason why I said that is because Sonny is not his friend. Sonny does not side with him. But he reached out saying there's some fake stuff going on, obviously lying. I mean, he was saying that the profile was fake, that Taylor didn't exist, that she wasn't real, obviously lying, and going to somebody who is against you, right? Because he probably understood that once Taylor went to Sonny that this was going to be all over the place. So he tried to get ahead of it. Obviously a lie. Like to me, he does not seem like a good liar. I struggle with him being able to pass a lie detector test, given his panic, given his response, given the obvious lies. I mean, telltale signs of people that were in a situation where they were uncomfortable. They didn't want to be in. He's not somebody that is some superhuman special person that can hide these emotions and control. I didn't see that. I saw quite the opposite. I saw a guy freaking the heck out once all this came out. What do you think about that?
What do you mean by he was freaking out?
I mean, he was constantly messaging Sonny like, oh, it's just fake. This is this. And then he messaged me. She's loony. She's crazy. And then he was messaging all these channels who don't side with him.
So, all right, one of two things could be going on there too. When people are criticized, they become defensive. It's like the outcome of being criticized. And if you're hyper criticized, you become hyper defensive. So he's being hyper criticized. So I could see why he's getting hyper defensive. My only problem is that he gets out in front of these things, but I feel like he winds up bringing more attention to himself and winds up doing himself more harm, because every time he makes another or does another interview, there's going to be people looking at it to see if there's any inconsistencies. And the thing is that if you're telling the truth, there usually is. Like, you usually don't tell the exact same story every time. So I just feel like just like she did herself a disservice here, because now nobody's going to believe her if she does have bruises because she lied about other ones. I feel like for him, I don't know. I feel like he does a lot of interviews, and that doesn't help him with how he's viewed. And I feel like and the other thing is, are you doing this for you? Is this like, where did the focus go from the kids to you? Like, I feel like when he does this, it's more about him. And this is just my opinion. I feel like it's more about him than it is anybody else.
100%. I don't disagree with you. So this goes on to say, because I asked her, like, did he do that to you? He did, but not mean. They are from him. I took these pictures up the day we were stuck.
What does that mean? Not mean. What does that mean?
So apparently these are day old. I'm not going to lie. They don't look like a day old.
But what does it not mean? Like, do you mean like, does she mean like
sexual.
Wrestling? Oh, sexual. Okay. I just wanted to know, like, what did that mean? That just didn't make sense.
Yeah, she said she had some bruises from the bedroom type of thing.
And we know from the other night that was.
Yeah. And then this is her. This is the photo, or one photo.
Oh, yeah. That's the picture I was talking about.
Same day, the original one does have a shadow. Laugh out loud. Here's the original picture, because he'll try to push my ex abused me. And this is the one that's going around everywhere. This is the one that says, well, everything is not best. Meadow is going to CPS custody. So this happened a while ago. Malaya is losing her, because that happened a while ago too. CPS has also turned Arlo and Rhea on me. They interrogated an 8 and 6-year-old, and I guess they said I abused Jack and Lily one effed up day.
Okay, can I tell you what I think's wrong with this? One, there's a few things wrong with this, in my opinion. One, this it's a long time ago, but it's not that long ago. It only happened 5 months ago. So that would be the first thing that I'd say. The second thing that I would say is that he makes sure that everybody knows that Malaya is also losing her child, which I don't think is nice. And again, this doesn't make anybody a murderer. That's not what I'm getting at here. I'm just saying what I pick out in this. And then he thinks his other kids turned on him because they interrogated. Like, nobody interrogates an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. That just doesn't happen. Nobody interrogated anyone. And my thing is, he says, I guess they said. What does that mean? Like, what do you mean you guess? Like, did they say you abused her, or didn't you?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they told him they did. It could be very much a tactic by RCMP. RCMP, like, for those that didn't catch my show last night on Timothy D's, where they were interrogating a couple of people that were involved possibly in his death, they will say certain things to try to get somebody to fess up. And sometimes, and I've used this tactic before, I've said, hey, that person over here said you did something, or you know what, your kids are saying this, or whatever the case may be. So for one, it could have been a tactic, to try to get Daniel, because again, this is why it's important of when this happened. If this was, before all this happened, this is probably before the lie detector test, or around the time of the lie detector test. And there was a lot of information that was still coming in. And so I don't put it beyond law enforcement to use this as a tactic to get.
But law enforcement didn't say this. He says CPS, Child Protective Services, turned them on them. They interrogated an 8 and a 6-year-old. Child Protective Services protects kids. They don't interrogate them.
Well, who do you think told him this?
Maybe he wanted to see his kids, and his ex-wife said, no, you're not seeing them because they told me da-da-da. And they even told CPS that too. Like, we don't know what's behind that.
RCMP told him that. Let me rephrase this. So RCMP told him this.
How do we know that? Because he said that.
That's true. That's true. But from what I understand, and she also said this, is that RCMP told him this. Now, I believe that, let's just say that it did happen. Do you think that CPS would have reported that to RCMP?
You would have to.
I would agree. So
yes,
that information,
you'd be a mandated reporter, you would have
right.
to.
So that information should be is probably taken into consideration with the investigation against them that ended up resulting in with no criminal offense occurring.
I want to know when this was. I know that you can't just say right here, but I'm just saying, like, I wonder if he could let us know when this was or show proof of when this was, because it had to be within the past 5 months.
Obviously. So Malaya lost her kids relatively quickly. I want to say within a week, CPS had already taken them because of the suspicious disappearance and stuff. So this I believe is right early around maybe a week or two after, no longer than a week or 2 weeks after the kids went missing.
So he hasn't seen his other kids either then?
No, their mother wouldn't let him. Their mother.
Why?
Their mother's attorney said no because of the suspiciousness around everything.
I guess that's my thing too. So like they see suspicion, or are they just being like,
I think it's
super protected?
I think it has to, like, I think because I don't know how things work in Canada. But from what I understand, and I'm not just talking with Daniel and them, but because of the fact that there was a suspicious circumstance behind their disappearance, that's the reason why CPS, came in, and they forced both of them to do some certain things: take anger management courses, take parenting classes, and at least for him, I don't know about Malaya, but for him, he has to take a drug test once or twice a week.
That's to see the younger one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my thing is, he has supervised visits with the younger one. There was something, and I wonder, is it the kids that didn't want to see him? Like, there's a reason why he's not even seeing the older ones.
From what I understand, the older one's mother is not allowing him to see him.
Right, but are you allowed to just say that? Am I allowed to just be like, you're not allowed? Like, you would take me to court for that. So my thing is, like, why isn't he allowed to have supervised visit with the older ones?
Right. And here in the States, if this were to have been the situation, the way we would have handled that is exactly what you said. This is a civil matter. Take it to court. You have to have a lawyer. You have to have money. A couple of things that Daniel don't have. So he's kind of put in a situation where he's, what can he do?
Yeah, but she doesn't have much more money than he does, right?
I have no idea how much more money that, the children's mother has than him. But
I thought you meant Lily. I'm sorry. I'm thinking.
No, I'm talking about the other mother.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
I have no idea, but he still needs to go get a lawyer, go to court, go do all those other things. He's already dealing with one court situation with Meadow and a court battle there. So he's behind the 8 ball when it comes to certain things. And he's in a position where, as much as he wants to do something, he doesn't have the funds to do it.
But my thing is, he also doesn't have the funds, whatever, with the younger kids to like do any search and rescue, but he's out there talking to everybody that'll listen. So why not be out there talking to everybody that'll listen to be like, this isn't fair. I don't see my 2 older kids. Like, be his own advocate like he is for the younger 2. I just have a lot of questions with this guy.
I don't know. I'm sure everybody would look at.
And again, some of these questions are just like, they're just, I don't expect you personally to have an answer. Yeah. It's just like, this is what I'm thinking.
Right. Of course. And yeah, I have no idea. Now, let's just, so to me, when it comes to this, it's the timing in which it was said. How does it relate with the evidence? How does it relate with what law enforcement did? And is it even true? Because again, a tactic from law enforcement, I would have done this. I'm not going to lie to you. I would have done this. If I had Daniel and I knew that his baby mama wasn't allowing them to see the kids, and I thought he was a suspect, I would have told him, hey, we talked to your kids, and guess what they said? They said that you did hit him.
But I thought they didn't think he was. I thought they didn't think he was a suspect.
Oh, very early on they did. They treated him.
So you're saying that this is like really early on?
Yeah. This is early on while they thought he was a suspect.
Okay, then that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done that. I would have been like
Sure.
it would have been one of the first things I did. Hey, Malaya says you did something. Hey, you know what? We talked to your mom, and your mom said something kind of weird that makes it seem like you did something. Hey, we talked to the kids, and the kids said you abused them. I mean, I would have been lying out of my teeth just to get this guy to flip.
So I wonder, like, wouldn't that be easy to, like, I don't know, an 8-year-old, I feel like, wouldn't that be easy to, like, confirm? I don't know. I think if there's
He's
an
not allowed to
8-year-old,
see him. He's not allowed to see and talk to them. It would have been perfect to say or do this. I would
no,
have
on the
taken
phone with
advantage
the
of this.
mom, with the kid's mom, like, be like, ask them right now, like, I never did any such thing. Like, I would feel like the kids would be like, I want to see dad. I don't know, something
Maybe. I
just
mean,
isn't.
custody things can get ugly. They can get very
You're
ugly.
right.
And I
But
don't know
they
the
don't usually like
dynamics.
this. They don't usually like to take kids away from their parents, though. So that also has me a little, I don't know.
I don't know.
But in this
I'm
situation,
assuming
I
it's
get it.
because of the situation with Lily and Jack is why they took him away. I mean, that's what I kind of come to find out.
I go
But
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on every single thing.
no, I get you. I hear you. I understand why. Like to me, when I first saw this, I almost jumped to a conclusion too, and then I had to sit back and say, all right, when was this taken? What is how does this information fit with what RCMP has done in their investigation? Obviously, in my opinion, they would have known. And even if they're not the ones that told Daniel, which from what I understand is they were now, because and in my opinion, I think that it would have been a perfect tactic to use. You know, Daniel's an open book. He keeps talking, like you mentioned. He talks to RCMP for hours. I wouldn't be surprised if he told them something to the effect like, "Oh, my ex-wife's not letting me see my kids, or my other kids' mom's not letting me see my other kids." All right, jot that down, and then use that against him later because he can't verify it. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I just don't know how.
Maybe I'm just a different type of. I was a different type of law enforcement officer because I was
No, I think no.
dirty.
I
I
know.
guess.
I could see why somebody would say that, but I think like if you're gonna, because law enforcement does it all the time, right? They'll lie and say, "Well, your friend just told me da 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 about you," like because they want you to flip on them. But do they do that with an 8 and a 6-year-old?
I don't think they did. I mean, I'm sure they talked to him, and I'm sure they asked, "Did you ever see this? Did you ever do this?" 100% are they talked to the kids. I 100% agree that they did.
Okay.
Did they
But you
say
don't think
this?
that they
Maybe.
interrogated them, right? Because I would assume that they would have,
No, they didn't
they would have had
interrogate
like
them.
a child psychologist do it, like someone that's trained, I would hope.
Well, an interrogation is for a suspect, so they're
Right.
not a
Well, that's what I
suspect
mean.
for
But
anything.
he says that they interrogated his 8 and 4 or 6-year-old.
That's his point of view. It's not that. He's wrong. That's how he feels, right? Because they went behind his back, and it's a common feeling, like because here in the States, when CPS gets involved in certain situations, they'll go to a school and talk to somebody, and they won't tell the parents. They won't do anything to pull the kid out of school, and a lot of parents feel a certain way about it because they didn't get permission and this, that, and the third. They don't know, how they may have, and the term manipulated always comes up, like, oh, they manipulated my kids. They made them say this, they said that. Most of the time, that's not the case. They were just asking them questions, and they're just really good about getting information out of the kids. And it's more of a witness thing because they didn't do anything. An interrogation happens with a suspect, not with a witness.
No, you're right. But projection is also a real thing.
Right. But Daniel, we also have to come from the fact that he's a little bit limited when it comes to his education and things. So,
Yeah, but that doesn't make you limited in,
right. But
read
talking to
smart.
law enforcement, to him might always be that just might be the term that he used, interrogated, as far as just anytime you talk to law enforcement, that's what it is, whether you're a witness or a suspect. He doesn't have a background in law enforcement. He doesn't have a background in as a lawyer. So I can see him using terminology wrong as well.
I get that. But at the same time, then I have a doctorate degree. So hopefully I'm never in the situation. But if I was, I would hope that you would be like, she doesn't know anything about, like she might have a doctorate and, but she doesn't know anything about law enforcement. So I've never spoke to I've never been interrogated. Like I wouldn't know what to say either. So I don't know that education is really behind it. I think it's more like your experience, or have you ever been exposed to?
Right. And so, and I don't know if I took a screenshot of this part. I hope I did, but I'll see, because there was a lot of stuff that she was saying, and I only took a couple of screenshots. This says here, and making you think for believing stuff. No, he didn't say that. I was like, do you think he could have done something? See, I'm still trying to figure out if he could have done something with the kids, right? That's my goal, right? I really don't know. I've been talking to Belinda's lawyer now and Malaya's friend. And then she sent me a picture of Daniel's missed calls, several missed calls. 9 hours, 9 hours, 10, 10, 12, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. So he was calling quite a bit. He's nuts. He keeps saying, sorry, because I know he knows I can destroy him. I go, I don't think Malaya did anything. That's pretty crazy. Be careful. And then, he's talking to Belinda's lawyer. And one of the things that she mentioned is, I want to make sure he never sees Malaya or his other kids again.
Yeah, but you could say that, but I could say that about you and your kids. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Right, but that just kind of goes to how vindictive people can be.
Yes, people could be very vindictive. Okay, that I get, but like you said, like unless they have, money and they're hiring the best priced attorneys to try to do something, like saying something is one thing, doing it is another. I don't know.
Right. He knows better than the doctors, unless he's involved too, and he knows he is saying anything, she will tell the truth. I think he broke her down for 2 years and secluded her, and she's younger. She was only 24, 25, and she's talking about Malaya and why, all this other stuff. And I was like, turning on someone when you're involved is a tactic that cops would be able to pick apart. I don't remember why I said that, but that had something to do with something over here, because she was throwing out a bunch of things. She was throwing out a bunch of things, and I was like, hey, if that was the case, this would have been something easy. And then she goes, and then under his control, and before that, a lot of trauma. I don't think Malaya is a sweet angel, but I don't think she's the monster people think either. Daniel's very good at what he does. I was playing him, and he made me like him, laugh out loud, even with all his crazy. I even said, true. He did get you to side with him, because in the beginning she thought he did something. That was her intention, was that he did something. Like she went into it thinking he did. And then as she started dating him, she's like, I don't think he did. And then things turned south and she's like, oh, he definitely did. And so
I just wonder like why she thought that it was like her like thing to be the one to figure it out. Like we're all talking about it right here and now, but like neither one of us are going to date him to try to figure it out type of thing. Like I wonder, and again, this isn't talking crap. I literally would love to know, like was she listening to something in the news and she felt a connection with the kids? Like I just would want to know psychologically what made her, because I bet you that has a lot to do with the stress that she's feeling right now.
Yeah.
The fact that she's not involved with him.
Yep. And so he blocked her. She goes, he didn't block me, blocked again. And then he goes, I can tell Daniel. Can you tell? So she wanted me to tell Daniel this to get him riled up, because she was blocked. So she wanted to get him riled up through me. Can you?
That
tell
is
Daniel?
So manipulative. Oh my God.
Can you tell Daniel the global male wants me to talk to her about Arlo and Rhea, saying he abused Lily and Jack?
No way.
Yeah.
Did you say no?
Were
you like, yeah, I'll call him right now?
No, I did. I didn't tell him then. I was like, oh man, I hate being in the middle of this shit. That's the first thing that I said, right? And then I was like, all right, I have to tell him, because he needs to be prepared for this. And if this is true, I don't know if it's true or not, but if this is true, he's in for a world of hurt. And like I told my mods and I told everybody, I was like, hey, if he did something to Jack and Lily, he's about to get what he deserves. If he didn't, oof, he's still getting what he deserves, because he shouldn't have been stupid. Probably shouldn't have been talking to a girl. And this is one of the things that Janie pointed out, is like, what kind of girl reaches out to a man who's going through something like this?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what made her psychologically think that it was her job to be the one to go out and like date him to find out if he did something? Like, I just wonder, like what did she go through that she thought that was like okay to do? I don't even know. But you answered the exact way that I am thinking. Like, you opened a can of worms and now it's going to be hard for you to close that. That's exactly the truth.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I told her. Because she's like, I told Sonny she could message me, but I feel uneasy about that. I think this went far enough in destroying his character. I haven't slept well or eaten in days. I kind of just want to move forward and forget about him since I won't have any new information to help. I was like, I don't think you can just close this. There's no way. There's no way. You sent screenshots. You've done this. You've got pictures of you with bruises now. Like, there is absolute. And then to top it off, it sounds like she's not even a single woman.
That's crazy. Like, did she if by sending this to you, she had to know that you were gonna, like, I feel like you would only send this to you for you to say something about it. So, like, did she not think that she would get caught? And then wasn't he cheating too? It's just like the whole thing is like, poof.
Yeah.
And does that then take away from the kids?
Exactly. This takes away from the kids, because this is now we're looking at their relationship drama versus looking for the kids.
Exactly.
So it goes on to say, it really is the worst part is I know he's a crazy person, but I miss his crazy. Ha, 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 ha. He does have good qualities too. I'm so conflicted with his part and or knowledge, or if maybe they really did wander off, but then Daniel and Janie are saying absolutely not. So it's weird.
I do think that's weird too. I feel like that's the only thing, like, so there's like, I feel like he says it's absolutely impossible for all these other scenarios to happen, except for the one that he wants to see go forward. So with that, I do have a little bit of problem with that. And like when the one interviewer asked him, she said, were you surprised that they didn't find anything? And he's like, I knew they weren't going to find anything. Like, what do you mean you knew they weren't going to find anything?
Yeah. Well, I get it, but that's because they believe. And like I told her, I was like, that's because they believe Malia did something so she could take Meadow away. And then she goes, do they really though? I don't know. And I was like, I mean, some of Malia's family even struggle with their behavior. So why if Malia's family struggle with their behavior, why are we so surprised that Daniel and Janie struggle with their behavior?
So if she struggles with her family though, then you could also assume, why would they go on this big plot to hide the kid for her?
No, what I'm saying is, like, Daniel doesn't talk to Malia's family outside of one person. I don't think they even talk anymore. But, and that was, I believe, Derwin. Now, I know from other people that Malia's family have also struggled with their behavior.
With her behavior, right?
With Malia's behavior.
Right. So why would you then go out of your way and make this whole plan to like have them take her with the other CPA, like all this stuff? If
I don't think that happened, but what I'm saying is, and
I know you don't. That's what
I'm pointing out to her is, you know, a lot of people look at Daniel and Janie and say that they're wrong for suspecting Malia, and I'm like, well, Malia's own family, some of them suspect her. I'm not necessarily saying that Malia has anything to be suspected for. What I'm saying is if Malia's own family, you know, feel this way, certain family members feel a certain way, why are we surprised that Daniel would feel a certain way?
So what I was saying before, it wasn't to you, it was to him. So he's saying the one thing and then saying another. Like, that's what I was saying. So it wasn't to you, it was to him. So how could he say on one hand that like her family helped and did all this stuff? I'm echoing a little bit, but that's all I was going to say.
Sorry. It's because
No, you're good. But how could he say in one hand? I'm just saying, how could he say in one hand that like the family made this big conspiracy to take the kids away and hide them, and then on the other hand be like, well, her family doesn't even trust her. That's all. I didn't mean you. I meant to him. Oh
no, I've told him the same thing. I've told him the same thing because, like, for instance, Haley found the blanket, and he says, "Oh, she planted it," and I'm like, "But Haley is one of these people who have been suspicious." Haley's a family member of Malia who found the blanket.
Gotcha.
She's the one that found the blanket, and Daniel thinks that she planted the blanket to help Malia, and I'm like, but Haley is now suspicious of Malia. She's one of the persons who has been suspicious. I'm not saying that she's accusing or anything, but she's been suspicious of her behavior. And I was like, if she planted that blanket for her, then she would know why. And why is she now coming out suspicious? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, they would be working together. That does not make sense to me, that she would go out there and plant it and then be suspicious of her behavior. I mean, she would have been a part of it. She planted the blanket. You get what I'm saying? So
I do get what you're saying.
to me, it doesn't make sense. And that's one of the things I've told that to Daniel. And I, like I've said, me and Daniel don't agree on more. There's more we don't agree on than we do agree on. I just don't think he nefariously did something. I don't think he purposefully did something. I'm not necessarily certain the kids got into something and there was an accident. I strongly suspect that there could have been neglect. I mean, you got an argument there and the kids wandered off. I strongly suspect that, that they wandered off. I don't know about the whole neglect part. I just say that I can't deduce that out of the possibility. I
guess that's my other problem, is that I'm having a hard time deducing anything at all, including his innocence. That's my problem. It's not that I'm stuck on guilty. I'm having a hard time. And I know you're saying with the cops and all that stuff, I get that, but there's still something. And again, it could just be the neglect, or maybe I'm just picking up on the fact that he sucks as a boyfriend, but that doesn't make him a murderer. So I don't know. There's something there that I'm picking up on for me that maybe I need to reflect on. So I'm not even putting that on him.
Right. All right. Let's listen to this short clip.
I'm going to let my dog out while you do this. It's right there, though. I could hear it still.
All right. This was not sent to me. This was sent to me by somebody else. This has gotten out there. So she's not talking to me when she says this stuff.
I did just want to send you a quick video so you can kind of get a feel for who I am. It's kind of hard to tell people's intentions through texting. But everything you say about Daniel is correct. You are spot on, maybe even sugarcoating it a little bit. There's so many things. But he won't talk to me about the case at all. So I did break up with him last night because he's talking to other people anyways. And it's just kind of interfering with my real life now.
And so this was out there already. This is not, she didn't send this to me. I don't know. I don't even know who she's talking to be honest with you. I'm assuming this is somebody who doesn't side with Daniel. And, she's saying that, these things. And so
this shows me, and I don't know, just from that brief clip, and again, I'm not diagnosing anyone, but it seems like that she has a hard time with emotional regulation. And we often see somebody that has a hard time with emotional dysregulation with somebody who has like a mold for them, which is usually in like a narcissistic fashion. And again, I'm not saying this necessarily about them, but I would look into that if I were looking into the case.
Mm-hmm. I would too.
And I don't know what role that plays either way. Do you know what I mean? There's a ton of narcissists. There's probably narcissists on here right now. It doesn't mean that they've done anything. But again, it's the things I'm picking up on as a psychologist.
Oh, 100%. Like I 100% agree with you when with your judgment and your analysis of what you're seeing with Daniel.
So it must piss you off that I'm not there yet on your end. And I apologize.
No. I see what you're saying. To me, when it comes to me, like looking at a case, if I'm looking at like statements and things of that nature, sometimes to get clarity, I turn off the statements and I look at just the evidence. What is it that we know? What are the underlying facts of the case that aren't gray? It's black or it's white, right? It's one way or the other. It's not in the middle. It's not up for interpretation or any of those things. What are the facts? What are the evidence? What are the things that we can't get around? Now, to me, the one underlining piece of fact that I can't get around when it comes to this is the fact that there was a blanket found. So a lot of people say, if the kids went missing, they didn't find anything. That's bullcrap. They found a blanket and they found footprints. Whether you want to believe it or not or whatever, it belonged to them. And they found a blanket. And there was a document that just was released here recently about a dog that has just gotten certified that has been helping in recent searches in Nova Scotia in that area. I wonder what search they were talking about. Now, the blanket, there was a dog, and I'm assuming it's this dog because Daniel told me there's multiple sources in here. Daniel told me that it was an unqualified dog that was out there that was able to track from the blanket to the footprints. All right, now let me pull up the area real quick, just so we can get an understanding of what that area looks like. Let me pull it up real fast. Okay, Google Earth. So there was the boot print. Now, he told me there was a dog, and then Malaya sent a picture from some of the ground search folks to Janie, indicating that a dog handler had located the footprints. So I got it from multiple sources that it was a dog and a dog handler that got it. So they found a blanket 1.6 kilometers away, and that dog scented from that blanket to the footprints, and they were found that evening. And those footprints were in the middle of nowhere. They weren't on the side of the road. They were in the middle of nowhere and in the mud. And if somebody planted them, my problem is, did they fly there? Did they float? How did they not leave their own footprints behind? So here's where the blanket was found. There is a trail that comes back here. This is a street, and it ends up into this trail here that circles around, and then you pop out right here on the pipeline where the boot print was found. Boot print was found very far away from the street, off of this pipeline where there's mud, in between that street and I believe this one here, this like makeshift roadway. So it's found right in the center there, and the dog is what was able to track it down here.
I do agree with this piece of evidence. And this is why I keep saying, am I going back to the fact that there was neglect here, and that, let me be honest with you. So my whole thing before the other night was I was under the impression that they probably got out somehow. And again, that whole neglect thing, but that they got out. But then the mom came on, which is why I'm not reading the chat tonight, because I think I let her get in my head to almost like convince me that there was no way that they could have walked that far, because she had to carry. So I think I let her cloud my brain that night. And then it wasn't until afterwards when I was reflecting that I was like, wait, hold on. And then tonight you tell me that 2 years before he was caught not caught, but he was found so far away. So he obviously can walk. So that is, this right here, if anything's going to bring me to that other side, it's going to be this.
So here's how far he walked. This was 2 years ago when Daniel and Malaya and them lived in Toro. He left the back of this house and went into this scrapyard. Went through the scrapyard and into this field area and was about to enter into the woods when they found him. Now, this distance is only a quarter mile away.
Yeah, that's far enough for a 2-year-old.
For a 2-year-old, and by himself. He was found by the school security before he entered the woods.
I wonder how long it took him to walk this far.
Apparently not very long. I think it was 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
15 to 20 minutes for him to walk this far.
Yeah, I guess if he was just trugging straight ahead.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
But yeah, that then makes it completely different. If he can walk and.
I mean, look at this. He would have gotten out of the scrapyard. To get out of the scrapyard into here, you would have had to have gone through a wood line. So he's not afraid to go through that.
No, and I would say that he's probably not afraid to go through that because they have wooded area right around their house. So it's something that he is used to. So I could see why they would walk into the woods. And
I have verified this by 4 different sources from different places. And I'm fixing to get a documentation report from CPS because they documented this.
And the grandmother said that the older kids made that fort out there. So, and it could just be that weekend they were playing with the older kids out there at the fort, and maybe they wanted to go play with the fort again. I mean, who knows? And then they walked the other way. I don't know.
You see, I thought about that. Young kids, impressionable. When the other older kids were playing with the fort, they had a backpack full of snacks. Guess what's missing?
A backpack. No, I didn't know that. See, that makes sense.
And it's not the backpack she would have taken for school. So, and again, Daniel don't think that the kids wandered off. So telling me that he's wandered off in the past goes kind of against what he says. And it wasn't just Daniel. It was multiple people.
Well, the other thing that goes on his side for me is the fact that if he did really do something, then he could use this. He knows that a lot of people are convinced that they walked into the woods. So he could just very easily be like, yep, that's what happened. Let's move on. That is something that goes on his side in my head. Again, I'm not one way or the other yet. I'm still taking in all the evidence. But that is one thing that weighs on his side is he could very well just be like, yeah, that's what happened.
No way he walked that fast for a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old walked 9 miles in Arizona. Let me find that for you. I was waiting for somebody to come in and say that this was impossible. 2-year-old walks 9 miles. Maybe it was 7. But I believe it was 9. I think it was in Arizona. Right here. A 2-year-old walked 9 miles is highly unlikely due to their physical limitations. All right, hold on. That was the wrong one. 7 miles. It was 7 miles. So it was a 2-year-old, 7 miles. I want to say it was in Arizona in the desert.
Yeah, it's right there. Second one.
A 2-year-old boy, Bowden Allen, went missing from Silverman, Arizona, and was found 7 miles from his home after walking through rough terrain for nearly 24 hours. He was found.
So I think the person that was saying it was just saying that they didn't think he could walk that fast. So even if it took an hour, he still walked it if they found him there.
A quarter mile in 20 minutes is not that fast.
No, and guess what people don't realize? At 2.5 years old, you're half of your adult size, and people don't realize that. So 2-year-olds are not as short as you have a kid around that age, right? They're not as short. Your kid's taller than me.
Yeah. She's getting there, that's for sure. But yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, so she could possibly walk, I'm sure you walk in like amusement parks with her more than a quarter mile.
Oh, we went to the amusement park today. It was quite fun.
Well, there you go. And I'm sure you guys walked more than a quarter mile in the whole time you were there. So like she could do it,
Yeah.
So it's possible. Yeah. I think they were saying that maybe that the time was like fast, but who knows what the time was. But the fact is, for me, it's more the fact that he was able to walk at all that far, because again, the grandmom the other night was saying that she had to like carry him.
And I mean, kids can do things that, a lot of people, it's very common when a kid goes missing for the first time that a parent says they have never done this before, and they find them and they did wander off. They were very young. So just because, I know a lot of people say, well, they wouldn't have done it. They've never done it before. I mean, they were 4 and 6. There's going to be a lot of things in life that they were going to do that they hadn't done. They were going to do for the first time that they hadn't done before. Yeah,
that's true.
You get what I'm saying? It's
but not everybody's
like a history.
No, but not everybody's kids run away either.
No, not everybody's kids run away, but I don't necessarily believe that these kids ran away like that. I mean, there's a possibility that they did, but maybe they saw some bad things or whatever. Right. But there's also the possibility they just got out, wandered off, and then encountered something on the road, that made them go in the direction that they did.
My 22-year-old, when she was 2, actually, she not only got out of the house, but maybe she was almost 4, because I think I had my second baby at the time. My neighbor knocked on the door with her, and we're in Philadelphia, and she was like, "Did you lose something?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I was so embarrassed, but I was mortified that my kid was outside. She was sitting on top of my car, like just dancing and stuff, had a good old time. But she was out there for a good 5 minutes before I even noticed she was gone. So, and I think I'm a really good mom. They both turned out really well. So kids do get out. However, when that happened, I went to the store the next day and I bought bolts and locks and this and that. And I never, after that, I made sure my door was always locked. Her and my one that came next. So I guess my thing is, if that happened before, there should have been more of an effort to make sure that something like that couldn't happen again, I guess. I don't know. But shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I don't want to re-victimize somebody. I don't like that either. So, I mean, they don't have their kids right now. So that's obviously, that's punishment enough. So I'm not trying to punish them. I'm just saying.
And the reason I had checked into this and the way I found out about this, the Jack went missing before, was because it was brought to my attention by another family member of a distant family. I don't know how to put this, but one of not blood related, but a family member by marriage had put out something to the effect that Malaya had lost a child to CPS before Lily, that there was another kid that was taken away. And so I went and asked, and they said, no, nobody was taken away, but Jack was almost, because he went missing. And I was like, what? And I was like, why am I finding this now? And they're like, yeah, this and this happened. So then I reached out to somebody from the community, somebody that's not related to Daniel or to Janie. And I asked, have you ever heard this? And the person from the community told me yes. And then I reached out to another person, And then that person said, yeah, that did happen. And I asked, who do you think might know or have some information? And one, I kept getting told that RCMP investigated. And in fact, they almost took Jack away, or there was some question about that. And then they told me to ask Janie. So I asked Janie, and Janie was like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. That was before they moved here. You know, they didn't do that at my house. And I was like, so Janie, there is a possibility he could have wandered off. And well, she agreed, and I don't think she's feeling good now. Like she's not been feeling good today, and she's like after.
And I feel bad for that. I feel like
she's realizing.
I think she means well. I do. I don't feel. That's what I mean. I don't get these red flags with her.
Yeah, but I think that it's coming to. I think it came to a realization for her today, and I think it hit pretty hard.
I pray for her too.
You know what I mean? Because they strongly suspect that the kids are alive, and I don't want to be that guy to be like, "No, you're wrong." You know what I'm saying? But the evidence is what the evidence is. There's a blanket, and the dog's tracked to the footprints through the marsh, through the mud, and yet there was nobody else's footprints with them. You know what I mean? Like if somebody went to go plant something, for one, planting it in the middle of nowhere, you're gonna find it.
Didn't the grandmom say that she saw a footprint outside of her thing too? So if they match the footprints, I mean, what are the chances of that?
Exactly. There was a footprint outside in the driveway.
Because somebody could say, like, if somebody planted it, but what are the chances that they happen to match the same shoe? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that Daniel and Janie, they also believe that Haley had some kids out there, and that was the reason why. And the documents kind of make it seem like there was some kids out there. But these kids would have had to have gone out to the middle of the pipeline by themselves and not gotten lost on their own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to answer a few questions from you guys, and then we're going to call it a show. We got Rhonda coming in with the newest membership. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you so much. We have Sunshine Susie saying, I don't believe any conspiracies. The children went off into the woods and got lost. I pray for the families. Occam's razor.
That probably is what happened.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning at.
Me too. Now. Actually, me too.
Lori comes in saying, has anyone ever questioned what happened with the clothes that were purchased for Jack and Lily at the Walmart Wednesday night? I'm not, I wasn't aware. This is news to me. I know that they had bought the shoes from Walmart, and they were able to, so they found a boot print on the pipeline, and it said 29, which was like a size 11. And so when they asked Malaya about what size the kids wore, what size Lily wore, she said 13. They went back and they found a financial record. And this is why it's important to go through your bank records and stuff like that, right? This is one of the parts of the investigation that they did. So they found a financial record that indicated that they had bought some shoes at Walmart. They looked at the receipt. They ended up pulling the receipt there and determined that the shoes that they had bought were size 29 or 11. So wow. It was a match. That's the only thing I know from Walmart. But Lori, let me know what else you have. I would appreciate it. Sunshine comes in saying the public isn't happy if they speak. When they don't, let's just give love and support until law enforcement gives us something otherwise.
I agree. 100%. That was so well said. If we could sum up the whole night with something, it would be that.
Yeah. Some bangers from Suzanne or from Susie saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. I do agree with that.
Steelers fan comes in with a membership for 24 months. No more freeloading. That's an inside joke, guys. Lori comes in with $13.99. In my opinion, his ex-wife was being harassed and had to seek legal counsel and felt it was better to keep her children off the limelight. That's true, too. I mean, would you want your children with all this going on? That's an excellent point, Lori. It's an excellent point.
No, especially if I didn't know where they were. So, and again, even if I didn't think that it was the father, if they think like somebody could have came in and like anything, I could see why she wouldn't want the kids there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. Anything good? Fantasy football?
No, this is actually another creator saying something like, hey, you just played this and this was sent to me and I didn't send it to you. And you said she didn't send it to you, so she must have sent it to a lot of other people. And that was the video where she's like, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I was like, obviously this was never sent to me. I found this.
Gotcha.
I can't even remember where I found it, but it was already out there. I think it was like on Facebook, and it was also circulating on some YouTube channel. And it was Sunny. I'll be honest, it was Sunny. I still talk with Sunny from Crime and Shame. You know, we also don't have we have a difference of opinion. More so me and her, more so than me and you, Dr. Vona. And we're still civil. We still talk. I mean, we don't,
as you should, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I still consider her a colleague, and her, you know, doing what she can to put the information out there. So, you know, she's got some good information, and I get good information, and sometimes we share it.
I think it would be worse if we all agreed on every little thing, right?
Yeah, I think it would.
The fact that we bring perspective, right? Okay, I think the way that we disagree, I'm talking about, we disagree on little things, but we agree on the big things usually.
Yeah, that, and I think also, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if we didn't agree, if we just agreed with everything, then there might be certain things that I overlook that you might overlook, and then we'll never see those things without the disagreement.
1000%.
You know what I mean?
Difference of perspective, 1000%.
Yeah, because there are certain things that people have said, like many things, and I'm like, you know what, that makes sense. You know, I didn't realize that, didn't realize this. But yeah,
if you didn't not go back at me, but like tell me the evidence as I ask questions, and I don't know either.
Yeah. But, you know, to me, just kind of like when I circle around this case and I look at everything in totality, again, I follow the evidence. And when there's conflicting things that are going on, like, you know, you have statements, you have this stuff with an ex-girlfriend that's populating. I just try not to jump to a conclusion and then fall back on the evidence. And what does it mean? When did they find this out? You know, how is it being used? Does law enforcement have this evidence? When did they have this evidence? What did they find out about this evidence? You know, there's a lot of questions to be asked and answered. And, you know, once you sit there and for me, at least, once I sit there and I start checking them off,
I agree.
It kind of clears up the picture, I guess. So what do you got going on next? I know we've kind of gone a little long.
Well, I have work tomorrow, which is always fun, right? But I know. But I guess the next thing I would do, maybe, I don't know, sometimes on Monday nights I find myself doing Mackenzie Shrilla. Okay. Because it's a little bit lighter. She's already convicted, so it's more just reading her text messages between her and her boyfriend, and I use my story time voice, so that's always fun. Yeah. So I'll probably do something lighter like that, but then I'll get back into stuff. And this week I have fall break on the one university I work for, so I'll have 2 nights of free. So I'm going to look into the Tommy D's case more.
Yeah. The D's case, Timothy D's case is
Timothy. Oh my God. I apologize, Barb. I just saw the word Tommy. I finally took my thing back down so I could see the thing. I just saw the word Tommy and said Tommy instead of Timmy. I apologize.
If you guys haven't seen my video last
I did not mean to do that.
On Timothy D's, please go watch it. You know, I know there's a lot of people here that think there's some inconsistencies with Daniel, and there's a lot of folks here that think there's inconsistencies with the case. If you want to find out some real inconsistencies, Timothy D's has a lot of them, and I point them out, and then I point them out with evidence, because it's one thing to have an accusation, you know, and another thing to have accusation with evidence. And so we have a lot of evidence in that case. So please go watch it. There's a petition in there to sign to get the case reopened. I would really appreciate for those to go in there and sign it, because
I signed and supported it. Thank
you. It's a case, in my opinion, that definitely needs to looking into. I think there's a possibility that there's a person who may have committed the ultimate crime and still walking the streets out there in Fredericktown, Missouri.
Yeah, and his poor mom not only lost him, but then lost his brother. Like, she lost 2 sons in 18 months. That's just her only 2 sons. Like, so I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I want to go out of my way even more for her, because I feel like she needs some kind of closure for, I don't know. She's an awesome woman.
And I just got an email from somebody else who's had some similar things. In fact, I don't know everything, but he's claiming that he had that law enforcement assaulted him. And when he went to go get the footage for it, guess what happened to it?
Let me guess. It got struck by lightning.
It got struck by lightning.
Shut up. You're lying. Oh my God. Lying. Stop it.
That has been their excuse for everything.
We should all play the lottery. What do you have going on next, real quick? You didn't tell us what you were doing next, did you?
So tomorrow I'll be on the Steel Curtain Network talking about my other favorite topic, the Pittsburgh Steelers, on a show called The Steelers Hangover. And then on Tuesday night, I'll be back here about 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Haven't decided yet what case. Probably some information in this case that will probably have populated by then. I'm working on getting some answers for a few things, and I'm hoping I can deliver that to you guys by Tuesday or Wednesday.
Awesome. We'll be watching.
All righty, guys. Well, check out Dr. Vona on Bright Minds with Dr. Vona. Bright Minds, true. How does it go again?
The minds behind true crime with Dr. Vona.
Why do I keep saying Bright Minds?
Because I'm bright. That's why.
There you go. There you go. The Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona. Link is in the title, or just search at Dr. Vona. You can search me at DT Show or Drunk Turkey Show. Like, comment,
and subscribe, everyone.
We'll see you next time, y'all. Peace.
Hi, everyone.